Clobberin time!
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
It's Clobberin time! Clobberonimo!
Oh, greetings, clobberers, clobberonimos, clobberoids, clobberooskies, clobber, whatever kind of clobber you may have to be. If you have not clobbered yet, remember, the secret is to bang the rocks together, guys. Big shout out to the great Stone Loki for that wonderful intro he made for me all those years ago that I still use to this day. He is a great pal, and I do appreciate, and I was just on his show earlier tonight on the comic book roundtable with Loki and the gang, and really enjoyed that. Love those guys, and for those of you who were there with us earlier, thank you. And I'm glad to see you all here tonight. I have an extraordinary guest. We're going to get right down to it. I just want to do my show notes and shout outs. This is, of course, Clobberin Times issue number. Yeah, I say issue because we're a comics channel. That's silly, I know. Number 695 on YouTube. 1,395 overall. And it's Wild Card Wednesday night, and I can't wait to talk some comics with this amazing guest. I just want to do some shout out or some show notes first, of course. Tomorrow night it will be the Clubhouse with my wonderful first officer, the beautiful Raquel Briggs, and the great Mark D with the C, the chief engineer. Continuing, we'll have our Blake 7 episode review and Star Trek Early Voyages comic book review, of course. Friday night will be with my good buddy J-Man's channel. Sean and J-Man and I continuing our review of Jack King Kirby's Fourth World Saga. We're getting close to the end of that. We're having so much fun. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, Friday nights. And then later that night on the Comic Shop Boys, the great 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser. When I hang out with those gents, 8:30 p.m. Central. I do believe that still is the time. And we're just having a lot of fun. I'm not sure what we're doing this week. I think we'll have a good old buddy Gary on from Pop Culture Minefield to talk about his new comic. And then, of course, Saturday night Star Trek, the main event, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same Trek time, same Clobby channel. We're starting season 4 of Star Trek Voyager. Those of you who are just saying, please get this 3 seasons over with so you can have 7 of 9. Well, now you've got her. So that ought to be fun for our Trek fans there. And we'll finish up the week on the great Mark D with the C's channel, 10 p.m. Eastern for Sunday night geekery. Come geek out with us as we geek out. Sometimes it becomes Sunday night eatery because he shows food to make everyone hungry, but usually it's geekery. And then this Monday will be the B Monday of the week. So J-Man will join me at 6 p.m. Central for our monthly visit to Earth B, the craziest comic book writer of all time. Bob Haney, as we celebrate his wackiness, as we have been doing for over a year now. And then, of course, it'll be, I think, Gary with Pop Culture Minefield will join me on Monday night after that. So that's the show notes. Just a quick shout out to everyone who was here with us tonight. Our wrenches, the great Eric K, the bronze wrencher, the Vindicator wrencher, the great White North, Chris Persia, D-Bud Martin, the great wrench of iron, Lord Thoth. Shout out to him and Lady Thoth, the god and goddess of wrenches. Good to see Avon lives, long live the Legion. The wrench without fear, the great J-Man, my partner in crime on Earth B. Maddie's daddy, Wielders Reach Biolia. Kal-El, Super Wrench Buddy, the Fanty Outsidery, Rascally Wrenchy, Hungry Boy, Master of the Clubonian, Max Redstone, Clubber Time Zone, Music Meister. And thank you all for joining us here in the chat tonight. Good to see you. I'm just so happy. What a great crew we've got in there already. And I want to welcome Mr. J, a.k.a. Drunk3P0, to Clobberin Times. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Thank you for the invite. Thank you for the invite. I see some of my people in the chat. What's up, Jonah Hex? I love that dude. And some others that are here. But thank you so much for the invite. What an honor to be here talking comic books. I always cry about it on my stream. I was like, nobody wants to talk to me about comic books. They all think, oh, Jay just talks about Star Wars, and I guess with the name Drunk3P0, I guess that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Man, no, yeah. I'm gonna have to like change the. I might have to change the name. Who knows? But,
yes.
I am honored to be here, sir. I'm honored to be amongst your people and just talk a little comic books, man. I'm nervous and excited at the same time. So thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Nothing to be nervous about, brother, man. Like I say, it's I've listened to you all the time as well, and you're always just so nice to me when I pop in that chat. You're just so gracious and generous, and I just appreciate it. And love your channel, love your videos, man, and all that you do. And I know you're up with all those great friends that you have over there, and we have some mutual friends. Our buddy Stone Loki says hi, by the way.
Loki's awesome. He actually he was a voice for one. I also run a history channel, and he did a voiceover for me on one of the videos. Amazing.
Oh, absolutely incredible. Absolutely. And by the way, I know you have a comic yourself, by the way. And if any of my friends here in wrenches can get that link, not that you need my help. I mean, I'm not a big channel, but put that link in there because you got one coming up, a new one coming up.
The original one, Achromatic Chronicles Blue, I had a second chance series, and I never closed it. I just kind of was like, I got busy and I forgot to close it, so it's still available.
Oh, cool.
And we still have. I talked to the people that are shipping it out, and I'm like,
there you go.
Do we have any like left over there? He's like, yeah, we got like 100. So, you know.
Oh, look at D-Bud, man. On the wrench of iron doesn't play around, man. He's the best. D-Bud's a great guy. And thank you for that. There's the link. There's your links tree.
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you.
And lovely lady in chat, Laura Lynn Lance.
Oh, Laura's great people.
Hello there. And of course, everyone, just there's so many that they pass by, so I can't really yell them all out, but I'll just say, well, I yell them out every time. We'll get you guys all yelled out tomorrow because it takes forever to. Well, they understand. We yell out our wrenches. But
yell them out, man. Just yell.
Oh, man. Andy Masterson, what's up, brother? Man, good to see you, buddy. There's the maker there, man. He makes some cool stuff. Pat S., my brother, good to see you there. Dark Shadow Logan, it's been a while. Kimasabi, another fellow comic shop owner in the comic shop owner cabal. I don't know if you know about this, but Mr. Eric K., that conspiracy theorist, had came up with a theory that basically says that there's something going on amongst comic shop owners because, as you know, the great Garrett Nerd Roddick, and a few, and I, because everyone teases him about mentioning that he owns a comic shop, which but he did, and he has to talk about that. But they tease him, and then all of a sudden, Dark Shadow owns one, a few others, D-Bud did, a few others, and Eric came up with a theory. Said there's a comic shop owner cabal out there, and that I'm a part of it. And I don't know. I'm starting to believe in it now. But I was just I actually, before I owned one, I helped start the first one down here in 1982 because I don't know about you or where you originate in what part of the country, but back then like, hey, I know because like D-Bud, who's the only person almost older than me, he was out on the coast like Gary. So comic shops were a thing in the 70s, but they weren't here when I think when my 14, 15-year-old brain first entertained the idea of a comic book store, a store that sells comic books, I was like, wait a minute. So it's a shop for comic selling, not like the newsstand, not like the spinner rack at the 7-Eleven. You're telling me there are places on this planet that are stores that sell nothing but comics, or at least that's their main thing? Nah, I couldn't even wrap my brain around the concept.
Well, for me in the 90s, it was 7-Eleven. So,
oh yeah,
whatever I could find at 7-Eleven, and then eventually, a guy took a chance near my high school that opened a comic shop, and for all of us that went to 7-Eleven hoping for the new releases, you know, like hoping for the next issue, because you never know, like the 7-Eleven racks, you know, or the grocery store racks, like it was hit or miss. You never knew what was laying around there. But this guy took a chance on a comic shop, and it was like the pearly gates opened up. I remember walking in there, and that was the first time I saw the Punisher in a limited edition, the limited edition Punisher series, the 5-issue, and the art on that was so incredible. I was like, "What is this?" And he had it behind a glass case, and I'm like, "Okay."
That was the Mike Zeck series, I think.
Yes. I was like, "All right, I want it." So I ended up getting. I remember buying number 3, the first one. I couldn't get number 1. I couldn't afford it. But I bought the third one because it was a little chewed up, you know, like it was a little chewed up. So I was like, but I just had to have it. So it was awesome. I ended up, you know, and I have them all now. So
yes,
it was freaking awesome.
By the way, everyone, here's the link that this is.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, it's links in the chat here. If there's also the link tree thing that the D-Bud put in there. Thanks, D-Bud. Appreciate you, brother. Bro Goo has it from my old hometown. What's up? See, I'm so old. When I first saw the Punisher, he was using rubber bullets.
The mercy bullets.
Mercy bullets in Spider-Man. In one of his early Spider-Man appearances.
That is one that I will get one of these days. I will get a graded first appearance Punisher. Eventually,
Marvel
that's
Preview or something like that. It was in the Marvel Preview magazine. Was like one of his first ones. He's very, very. The character is, of course, quite derivative of Mac Bolan, the Executioner series of novels from the 60s and 70s. I mean, pretty much the same origin and stuff like that. But still,
I have no idea why I fell in love with that character. I think it was, you know, when all my friends would argue about like characters, it was, you know, everybody liked the most powerful ones of all time, and so it was just like. And I'm like, well, here's a guy with no powers, and he's hanging with like Daredevil, and you know, doing the with Spider-Man, and like going after Kingpin and all that stuff. I'm like, I like him, man. I like him. He's like, I'm going after the bad guy, but if the good guys get in the way, I'm gonna go after them too. I thought it was like at the time it was like the anti-hero, such a unique character, and so you know, I kind of fell in love with him.
Oh yeah, and the D-Bud said, yeah, that was in first time he appeared in a comic was the Amazing Spider-Man 129, I think. His debut appeared in an actual comic. But,
50 years ago? Holy crap. Wow.
Oh yeah.
50
Only 50
years ago.
Oh my god, I remember that comic. I'm so
Oh man. Anybody in the chat know what they're going for? Like a 9 graded?
Oh, that one? I don't know.
Curious.
I'll have Mark look it up later. He has that cool program that he has a collection, and he could tell you, you know, what those, even if he doesn't have it in his collection. Hello, everybody. Hello there, RR. And hello there, Courtney. He did you ever see that really idiotic one-shot book by Garth Ennis called Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe?
No, I haven't.
It's one of the worst. It's funny.
It's one of the worst ones out there.
I've considered it one of the worst and yet funniest comics ever made, because it can't be. Garth Ennis hates superheroes, really, but this was mid '90s,
and it was that one.
It was a one shot. It was comic shops only, one shot. In like a prestige format, and basically it's obviously an alternate universe. They didn't have Elseworlds, that was DC's shtick, but it was basically an alternate universe, Alterverse at Marvel thing where the Punisher instead of going after, criminals, or his family weren't killed by drug dealers or anything like that. They were killed by a superhero fight. The superheroes were just running
So he
rampant.
goes after superheroes.
Yes, and he goes after them. So
now I cause see, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you have since you owned a comic book shop, but I like the Punisher so much. I even collected the ones when he was in the Peter Porker comics when they added, like, back in those days. I thought they were so, anything that had the Punisher in it, I was just trying to get,
yeah.
But I ended up he was actually, for me, I found I was able to get a lot of the ones when he would fight Daredevil. So
Yes.
he did that a few times as well.
Yeah.
And then they gave him his own series. They gave him that limited edition series.
Mhm.
And then they decided, well, this guy sells, so let's just give him a series. And oh my gosh, what they've done to him now, it's like, I don't even want to know. It's like what they've done to this poor character. It's like, how in the world? How do you mess that up? It's like it's an easy, it's an easy thing. But I just remember the day, like that skull, like his logo, like people, I'd love seeing like people wear those shirts and stuff, but I guess Marvel didn't like police and other people wearing that logo. So.
Well, the whack job who quote unquote created the character, I won't say his name, he's a comic writer, a hack from way back. He's a big time nut job now. He's still active on Twitter, and he's decided he didn't like all of a sudden he doesn't like that. He liked all what little money he's actually been given on the character, which isn't much, by the way, because Marvel never paid him anything for creating it, of course, as they never do. So yeah, he just became a wackadoodle and decided to that he didn't like the.
Is Ben Grimm your favorite character? Is that why Clobberin?
He is my favorite. The Thing is always been my favorite. I mean, I'll admit right up. It's very close because I love Superman / Superboy, the Golden and Silver Age, and I love Batman, who is my Adam. I'm so old. The Batman Adam West TV show was coming on the air when I was just able to watch it as a very, very, very nippa, as they say.
Yeah, but that thing was in syndication forever, so we've all seen it.
But it was like just new coming on when I fell in love with it. I'm told it was the first word I could say, running around yelling Batman, 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 and it was, back then, because a lot of people, and this is something I wanted to get into you with, a lot of people will say, when you mention comics, they go, so what do you like, Marvel or DC? And I want to talk about that in a second. But the reason why I love both sets of characters equally is because my gateway drug into comics had nothing to do with comics. It was TV. A lot of people were TV. Back then, it was the Batman TV show. Then it was the Filmation Superman cartoons. It was in Superman Aquaman cartoon hour. And then there was, of course, the Fantastic Four cartoon from '67. There was the Spider-Man cartoon around at the same time. Then there were the other Filmation Batman cartoons, and then Super Friends, and so on and so forth. But before I ever could touch a comic or hold a comic or knew what a comic book was, I was loving superheroes. And so by the time I was, actually starting to be able to, see comic books and these power records, which helped me learn how to read, which were little 45 with a little comic book with a little radio play that telling you what's going on in the comic book thing. I didn't know what a Marvel or a DC was. I just knew what these superheroes, and I loved them all. So it didn't really matter to me. Although, as someone who studied like the history of comics after that a lot, casually as a fan, you understand, I started learning about the different, trade, tropes and, and such between the two companies. And I've actually determined that they're not that different, since most of the same creative people have worked for each company over the course of the 70 some odd year. Well, the first 50 years of it anyway, 60 years. So my gateway was TV. So I never really developed a one or another, but a lot of people do. So I'll ask you, for those who don't know, and you've talked about this, you are a Marvel guy. You told me. Why do you think that is? I mean, how did you get started? What was your first exposure to superheroes?
First exposure was grandma buying me a Star Wars comic book. And I don't even remember what number it was, like 15 or something, just completely out of the series. She knew I loved like when Return of the Jedi, she just knew I loved Star Wars, and so she out of the lovingness of her heart, she bought a random Star Wars comic book, and that was done by Marvel.
Mhm.
And I loved it. I loved it. And so then near our home was 7-Eleven, and of course, like always bugging my dad for $1 just to buy whatever comic book was there. I just ended up buying like random ones that were on that spin rack, for 75 cents, 80 cents. And Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man. They had Captain America's that we grabbed. I always looked for the Star Wars one, never could find it because like those newsstand ones were just different. I actually got a couple She-Hulk ones that I really enjoyed, and it wasn't until then you start talking. Then it's like you take them to school, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you got a comic book. I got comic books too. And then it's like, okay, I've lit the beacon. Who else here likes comic? Like who else? Like let's all get together. So it's then you find the right people and you all come together and it's like
Nice.
hey, well, let me read this, and oh, do you want to, and then you start trading and swapping comic books. It's like, well, I got this one, but I'd love to have that one. All right, I'll trade you this one for that one and this one. And I'll never forget the one comic book I traded. I don't know if this was a good trade. I traded Thundercats #1 for there was a Spider-Man versus Wolverine, just a one, right?
Mhm.
Like it was it was a regular comic. It cost more than $1 when it came out. I couldn't buy it. And so Spider-Man fought Wolverine and it ended in a tie. Or Wolverine could have killed him, and he's just like, you can't kill, like, you don't have it in you to kill me. That was like, I remember that at the very end. Like Spider-Man was like, I'm gonna have to break his neck to kill this guy, and Wolverine's like, you'll never do it. And he had his hand under his chin, it's like, I could kill you. And I remember trading Thundercats for that, and I was like, who is this Wolverine? Like, what is Wolverine? I need to know everything about Wolverine. Like that was odd. And then it was like, okay, the whole X-Men series, and it's just like, yeah, you should just take a deep dive into this whole thing. And I remember talking, with you before. I was like, I think the very first series that I ever completed that I bought was the Secret Wars 2 with the Beyonder. And that was the first. I think there was 9 episodes in that. And please correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
and
9 there was. You're right.
And that introduced me to characters I've never heard of before. Molecule Man, Mephisto, if I'm saying those correctly.
You are.
Like, I never knew that those, that opened up that series opened up a large world for me of who are these characters. And actually, Ben Grimm had a huge part in that comic book series. Like I think there was like where Ben Grimm signs a contract with the devil and gets power and beats up all the bad guys. Is that correct? If I remember,
I think it was Secret Wars or one of the many crossovers. As you see it right here, Secret Wars 2. John Byrne cover, but the interior was unfortunately by
that was with the Beyonder, yeah. And I was like, holy crap, who is this Beyonder guy who's like, there's Molecule. Oh man, you're bringing it back, man. Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yep. Memories, eh?
Oh, dude, I have them. Like they're in my long box.
Now, did you buy all the crossovers? There were 42. If you count the 9 issues, it was a 42. Including the 42 in crossovers in total of the whole.
I think I had a few, but it was didn't have a lot of money back then.
No,
we did the best we could, and but I did buy the complete series for this Secret Wars 2. I was just fascinated. Like, here you have this guy, the Beyonder, right there, that no one can stop. And then in like episode 3, he fights all the good guys and they can't do anything. And then the next one, he fights all the bad guys. He can't do anything. And then he's like, him and Molecule Man have a conversation where he's like, I'm just going to kill Death. Like, just for the heck of it. Let me just kill Death. And you're like, what the heck? This guy's that powerful that he made Death drink a potion and and just kill Death. And Molecule Man's like, you can't do that. That's not how it works here. You can't kill Death. And it just dude, again, it opened the my eyes to so many characters that I had no idea existed. And then it was like, all right, so this is comic books old, so we're gonna do spoilers. So how they killed the Beyonder at the end is like, it's just awesome writing. Like, where is that today, man? Like, like, how do you kill an unstoppable person? How do you kill him? And it's like you manipulate him,
I haven't read it so long, I can't even remember. I can't remember how they killed him now. So not spoiler anything.
So what? I remember I read this story a million times over. So he wanted to know what it's like to be a human because he didn't understand love, sadness, death.
He knew nothing. He was trying to learn everything.
Right. And so they convinced him that the only way that you're going to understand what it's like to be a human. Yeah, this is Ben Grimm. I'm telling you, it's this episode here. No, the next one where Ben Grimm helps the Beyonder fight the bad guys. It was like really, it was the next episode. It was pretty good. But they convinced him to become a human and says that you got to like be born and be raised as a human. So he becomes so he's like, all right, so the Fantastic Reed Richards, they build this machine and where he steps in with all his power and he becomes a human baby. And the molecule man takes the baby and kills the baby.
Yes.
And like, right at the end, he just like, and you're just like, what the heck? Like, just like they would never put that in comics today, but it's just like he just kills the baby, and that's how they killed the Beyonder. And you're like, that's such a fascinating story. It's like, how do you stop this guy? We have no idea. He literally could snap his finger and destroy everything,
Yes.
But he was fascinated about how to learn and like trying to understand human emotion. And that's how they got him. They're like, the only way is you're going to have to like grow as a human. And he's like, okay, I could do that there. Yeah, that's the one. That's where he did it. And like, he's like, I can do that. He became a human at the end in some machine, and it was Molecule Man. I was like, hey, I know y'all don't want to kill a baby, but I'm gonna kill a baby. And he did it. Crazy, man. It's like that's kind of dark for like a kid.
Yes.
Pretty wild. But I loved it, man. I loved it. It's like top tier storytelling, man. Like that's what they did.
Ace, what's up, dude? Yeah, and there's the thing. At the time, I was totally out of Marvel. I was. Let's see, when this comic came out, like 87 or 8, somewhere up in there. Yeah, I was. If you're working in the comic business at the time, I'd become kind of a jaded snob because I got tired of some of the. Well, again, because I was old when I started running a comic shop. I was in my late teens. And I was loving superheroes still, but I wanted to see more. I wanted to branch out and see other types of comics and stuff. So I was getting into Judge Dredd and John Sable and all these other types of comics, and still loving some of the great stuff that Frank Miller and Alan Moore and all those guys were doing. But I kind of tapped out of Marvel. But that story you're talking about there, written by Jim Shooter, who was also the editor-in-chief at Marvel, he was a good writer. And, this is a guy who started writing comics when he was 13 years old in the 60s. He managed to sell his first story when he was 13, became a regular writer when he was 14 to support his family because he had to in the 60s, and wrote a lot of, I'm a big Legion of Superheroes fan, and he wrote a lot of those. He wrote, then he went to Marvel and wrote a lot of top-notch Avengers stories, stuff like that. So this was a fascinating premise for a story.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't really like the first Secret Wars that much because it was just to sell toys. In fact, I mean, that's not even a joke. It was literally just created to sell toys. The first Secret Wars series, but if you were,
I tell people like the only thing about the Secret Wars, the first one is that's the origin of the Black Spider-Man.
It is
costume, not like what you see in the movies. So
that's right.
That's how he got that. and so completely different story.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like I said, if you were to buy, if you actually were a completist and you would not only want the 9 issues, you'd have to buy 42 freaking comics.
Right.
Like the crossovers, but the crossovers were not really all that involved with the regular issues, though. I mean, you could unless you just completed, you didn't really have to get them all, but yeah.
No, I think I have a few that came with it just because, but the beautiful thing about, like, at least back then, you wanted the crossover. Like they had you, the storytelling was so much better that it's just like you wanted to know more. Like you wanted to see the little side missions. You wanted to see something that maybe you didn't want to miss. And I enjoyed, like, I enjoyed that. I think the like I told you before we went live, I think the last series that I was really into was the Civil War series. And dude, the crossovers on that was like it's like it's too many, like to the point where they sold like graphic novel books with a lot of the crossovers in there together for the Civil War series, just so you can keep up on the side stories. I followed the Punisher on the Civil War series mostly just to see that. I was wondering if he was going to turn into Captain America, which he did for like 2 episodes, and then he was like, "Yeah, I can't do this. He's too much of a nice guy. Like I can't be Captain America." And then that was it, man. I tapped out after that. Like I just didn't. There was nothing coming up that just. It just, for me, that's for me personally. I'm not like talking about anybody else, but for me, that's kind of when I just was like, the Civil War, I thought it was kind of cool, and it was something different, and I'm done. Like I'm gonna go back to some of the older stuff and maybe collect some of the older books that I didn't get a chance to finish because, like I was saying before, I was big with the Transformers and GI Joe comics because of the cartoon shows. And so I went back and I was just like going through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like just trying to go through each one and just for the different stories. I think I got Transformers all the way up to like Optimus Prime's death, and then maybe a few after that, and I just kind of like, that's just kind of where I stopped. So
a lot of people stopped at different
they found their thing, and they were just kind of like, that's it, I'm good.
As far as Marvel is concerned, I was on and off with it, but the time you just talked about, with right before Civil War, I kind of gotten aggravated with Marvel and dumped them. But DC I stuck with till 2011, the Screw 52, and then I left comics and pretty much have not really messed with new comics much in a long time, with the rare exception. And it's a shame because I love the art form so much, and there's so many great comics. Fortunately, there's so many great ones that are still out there. There aren't too many older ones that I want to read that I can go back, but there's some I can go back that I haven't read in a long time, and it feels fresh and new. So that's cool.
100%. I love it. Like I said, like after the Indiana Jones film, The Dial of Destiny, I was so disgusted.
Yeah, horrible.
I went back and I was like, I've got every single Indiana Jones comic that was ever made, even from Dark Horse.
Oh my!
Because I love that character, and I just went back, back to the beginning. I was like, this is why I love this character. You got the Marvel,
all the Marvel ones and the Dark,
all the Marvel ones, yeah. Right. And they're in like hold on, let me see. Now you see what you're doing to me, Clobberin time. You're making me like pull these things out.
I love it. But I bought that. I didn't buy every Marvel issue but I bought the first year or so, maybe.
Let's see what I got here.
Yeah, but poor old.
I gotta go to my little.
That's cool. Indy, we miss him. Let's say. By the way, thank you for the super sticker, Miss Martin Muses. You're very kind. Thank you so much, and thank you for the super chat, Max Redstone. It says JT Kirk bid $1. I bid $2. Have a great evening. You too, buddy. I hope you're feeling better tonight, man. Good to see you, brother. Good to see all of you here tonight. Thank you all for being here. So,
all right. I might have to turn on the camera here, but
okay.
my setup is not perfect.
That's cool. That's cool.
Because I was like, it's gonna be chill tonight, so I don't even know what I
Yeah.
look like. And
No
well,
signal.
there we go.
There you go. Let me put you
Yeah.
on the wide.
You don't have to do that.
No,
But
man.
yeah,
Oh my
so
goodness.
it's like I went and got like, you know,
There
I
you go. The
broke out
first one.
my yeah.
John Byrne did the first. Dude, I'm. If you ever wake up one day and that Tron machine's not in there, you have a prime suspect. Oh my god, man, I love that thing.
But like, yeah, I keep telling myself I really need to get these like probably sealed because they're in such great condition, you know.
Nice. John
but,
Byrne covers. He did the first two issues.
This was like one of the last Punishers I got because I got it signed.
Signed by Romita,
you know,
Jr.
and I got the certificate and stuff like that. But
is that
yeah,
signed by John Romita Senior or Junior?
It's got to be
probably
junior, right?
I would think so, but he usually puts his name Junior by there. Because
yeah.
Anyway, that's cool though. That's very cool.
Yeah, so it's like I cracked open the old Transformers, started all the way from the beginning. But I mean, and this one here, I think this is Graham Nolan's first comic book. So I went and I pulled that out because I was gonna go hang out with him when he came to Tampa. I was like, "Can you sign it, please, man? Like, can you sign it for me, buddy?"
He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a good dude. But yeah, just for the stream, like I got my, my Secret Wars.
There you go.
So
all right.
I was going through it.
Nice.
Yeah. And sure enough, here, yeah.
Oh, yes.
This classic.
Bagged and boarded.
I got to double check to make sure. Yeah, there it is. Like he becomes a child, and they killed a child, Molecule Man, and like all the women in the comic like freak out. They're like, they killed the baby. They killed the baby.
I remember when I first saw that, I'm going, wait a minute, why is Molecule Man good? Because I'd missed a bunch of comics.
Yeah, I know, right? Like there he is
evil, but he's a different version.
There he is fighting like the Beyonder, stuff like that. So
kind
of wild. Oh, y'all see me without my lights on and stuff. So
oh man, that's cool.
But yeah. All right. No more camera.
No more camera. Thank you, though. I love those Indiana Jones Marvel comics.
I know.
And
it just was fun story, and that was the beauty of, at least for me, that was the beauty. So I love the films, right? I love the Indiana Jones movies. He's always been my favorite cinematic character of all time, Indiana Jones. And the comics, they did such a great job, like complimenting his character. Like they just did a great job complimenting the movies, sticking to the lore. They didn't go out of their way to change who he was. They kept his mannerisms, like all that stuff. And it just was like, it was awesome. It was all, I see the comic relief in chat saying, Jay's talking my jam with the Transformers.
Yes.
I love the
He's a big Transformers guy.
I need to get that graded, the number one. Just kind of.
Yeah, you had that Sienkiewicz cover issue number 1. I remember that one. So yes,
but that was just the coolness of, I would read these comics and I'd be like, I want to watch the movies again, just because they did such a great job.
I love Indiana Jones.
They were doing.
I mean, that's one of the greatest movie experiences I've ever had. The first night I saw Raiders on the opening night.
Oh yeah.
That earlier in that day, Clash of the Titans by Ray Harryhausen film opened. I got to go see that. And then later that night, the whole family went to see Raiders of the Lost Ark. And it's just, I think it's on my 10 or more times of the theater that year.
You know what's as cool as like when you go through these old comics and you see like the advertisements.
Oh God, yeah.
Like
so much fun.
You could cut, like back in the days, it was like, hey, you could be a muscle man for 25 cents or X-ray glasses. you cut the coupon out of the comic and mail it in with like $3.
Yep.
The Comic Relief Crusader says, Jay, get a hold of me. I got something for you then. Consider it dude, you don't have to give me anything. But if you want to email me at drunk3po@gmail.com, I'd love to talk. So
he's a good artist too. Comic Relief Crusader. He's a good artist too. So.
Oh man, that's awesome.
But yeah, the ads. Oh my god, man! And of course, obviously, the old price guides used to said, "Beware,
Yeah.
coupons being cut." But I love the ads and old comics are the best. When we review old comics on here, and like for example, when we were looking at the Secret Wars, we were just looking at that's a scan of a trade, so it doesn't have any of the ads on it. But sometimes on that site, where because it has every comic ever made, by the way, that you can read online, it's called
Yeah.
readcomicsonline.com. Sometimes they just have old scans of old comics and they have the ads and the letters pages and all that stuff, and it's just so much fun. So I love that site.
You got me going through like my cabinet. Like, see, I'm making a huge mess in my room.
You have I know you say you had a spinner rack, which is cool, but do you have like just long boxes, short boxes?
I got long boxes and I got like these are the cool ones that I recently got graded. So my She-Hulk #1
sensational
and
She-Hulk one, G.I. Joe
yeah,
one,
the G.I. Joe one, and like I was trying to explain to people. I was like, does anybody know what this is? Like what this is?
Newsstand.
So yeah, and I didn't realize like this one was such a collectible, but people loved
yes, Snake
silent.
Eyes, the silent one. Is that the no dialogue issue?
Yeah, got this 7-Eleven.
Look at that.
Got this at 7-Eleven, baby.
Nice.
You know, so that's
nice.
one. I kept them nice, and then people don't know like I had a love for Pirates of Dark Water.
Oh yeah, she mentioned that.
So
yeah. Oh my goodness, there you
I
go.
like
Cool.
that one too. And,
is that one of those Paramount comics?
It's a Marvel. Is it Paramount?
No, it's Hanna-Barbera ones. I'm sorry, not Paramount.
Yeah.
No, the Star Trek ones in the 90s were Paramount Marvel. But that is, Hanna-Barbera. Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah,
I've seen them.
So it's like every now and then I'll go and get like some of my favorites just sealed up and send them out, and get them back over here. So
bought that one off the stand in 1979, I think.
Crazy, man. I got like a whole stack of like my graded ones here just because. And of course, I had to get the ISOM one and
of course
in the grade. But
do I see a Valiant book there?
No,
the one with the black background. Maybe it wasn't a Valiant book. It was
No, that was just a commercial. That was my
It was one that was at the bottom. I think it had a black background, but it was something different. Yeah.
This was my ISOM.
ISOM. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I told Eric, I was like, I'm only getting your graded one, so you have to like. So I think this is the oldest one I have that's graded. Is the first
Savage
appearance
She-Hulk, #1
of She-Hulk. Yeah, look at that newsstand bought, baby.
You won't. There's one you won't find too many, if any, direct sales comics because they weren't doing it at that point. So
really,
I think they started. Now it could be around that time. There was a time when the comic shops were just sent the same as the newsstands. Then at some point they came out with the direct sales comics because they wanted to start competing with the independent comics, and you started seeing both at the comic shop we would get these comic shops with the blank with a Spider-Man's head, or if it were DC it'd be like a DC thing at the bottom. So yeah,
interesting.
Direct sales. And then they started doing even Marvel and DC started doing some comics that were comic shops only. At that time, and independent comics were starting to make they weren't making the big two nervous, but they were starting to capture an older market, and Marvel and DC were getting very concerned with that. So
I had no idea.
Yep, direct sales.
I love hearing these stories, man. Like I love it. Like it just, when you're just there hoping to it's changed a lot during the day, like there was before you could afford like subscriptions. I know the comic shop that I went to when I was younger, you filled out a little card, and it's like you're allowed to hold up to 5. But you had to pay for it like on the whenever like you had to pick your box up like by the 5th of every month. If not, they're going back on the shelf, or
subscription service type thing.
Yeah, or he won't hold any for you. Like that's just how it is. So
there you go, D-Bud.
Had to be like really
yes,
careful.
There you go, D-Bud. Dazzler 1 was the first Marvel Direct coming in 81. There you go. Dazzler number 1 with that crazy photo cover thingy. And your Muslim uncle says, super chat, hey, buddy, good to see you. He says, Jay, those video games in the background are awesome. They are, man.
Oh, I appreciate it.
They are indeed. Oh, love, especially that Tron one, man. That was, I've lost more quarters in that game back when it came out in 82.
Oh, Tron!
I love Tron. I love Tron. Love the movie.
When One Up started, so the funny thing, I have the 3 games I have back here are Terminator 2, Tron, and the Star Wars arcade game, and it came with the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And I really want Dragon's Lair. Like I want the Dragon's Lair game. Like if I were to get another one, it's the last one I'm gonna get. But these are from One Up, so they were just recently made. And for some strange reason, I was in Walmart, and Walmart sells these. I got these at Walmart, and they had a box. They had the Terminator 2 still in the box, and it had like a red tag on it saying like sale damage, right? It was like damaged. And so I asked the guy, and it was like, I think they sell for like $500-$600. They were selling them for $199.
No.
Right? So I was like, what's wrong with it? And he goes, well, the box has water damage, and we have like 2 more back there with the same. So I was like, how much? What are the other ones? And like a Star Wars game and Tron. And I'm like, how much you selling those? Well, Tron is $99. The Star Wars is $125. I was like,
goodness.
Normal price $600. I was like, I'll take all 3. And so I was like, is it really that bad on the inside? The guy looked at me and goes, I bet nothing's damaged on the inside. Like the box got water on it because it was sit out, and I guess somebody spilled a mop bucket and it just messed up the box. But when I opened it up, like when I finally got it home and opened it up, I was like, holy crap, that perfect, no problem. So I was very blessed by that one. So
nice. I love Tron. It's one of my favorite movies.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. And then like the video game, I have to be careful because I'll break the game here because it's like you get 3 tries. That's it. There's no there's no set in this one either to like get 100 lives or anything like that. It's like 3 and you're out. That's it.
Can you put quarters in it, or you just got this?
No, it's a start button, and but you can't like the other one. So like the T2, you could set it to where you have like unlimited lives, or the Star Wars one, you could set it for I think it's like 15 lives, stuff like that. The Tron one is like, no, we're true to the game. Like you get 3 and out. That's it. Wow. So it's one of those things, but yeah. So
that's another one of those movies. I must have went 10 times or so when I wasn't.
Did you like the second one?
I didn't like the second one too much. I got one of the few that did. It was 20. I waited 28 years for a sequel to that movie, and I didn't
like the second one either.
Yeah, a lot of people did. I found out later, but I'm like, man, I want to see Tron. Tron's not even, it's hardly in the movie.
Tron showed up for 5 minutes and died. I'm like,
yes,
what? Like the movie's named after him. Like, what the freak is this? This is stupid.
It's so disappointing to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm with you on that one.
But a lot of people seem to. And then I found out later, like I hear every now and then how great people think it is. I'm like, okay, but man, I was annoyed.
Yeah, no, I didn't like it.
And that summer, I must have went between going to see Rathacon and that. Like, I mean, every I was going to see one or the others about every night back then, which is what geeks did back then when there were good movies in theaters a lot. When you weren't hanging out when I wasn't hanging out at the comic shop with my buddies talking about comics and movies, we're going to see movies, of course. Your Muslim uncle, thank you, buddy, for the super chat. He says, Jay, good things happen to charitable people.
Oh man, okay. God bless you, buddy.
God bless you. Thank
you. Thank you
Absolutely.
For the kind words.
Jonas X, I liked too. My ex-wife loved it. Which means you should not like it now. For just the principle, you should stop
Jonah
liking
Hex. Good people, man.
Yeah, Jonah Hex.
He's funny, but he's good people.
I tease him about his avatar there because that's the movie Jonah Hex, and of course the comic Jonah Hex is where it's at.
Oh, 100%. Man, how did they get that wrong? Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I guess maybe he would have been okay at casting if the movie had been good. Maybe, I guess,
I'm okay with like casting being a little off, but as long as they get the story right, I think that I think people are starting to see that now.
Right.
with you know, like how bad the stories are written in today's modern comics and movies.
Yes.
And it's like, you know, I saw Godzilla -1 and
Mm-hmm.
I loved it, and
I
it
did
was
too.
like it's not hard. It's not hard to, like, you don't need to reinvent the wheel as far as storytelling goes. And it's, you know,
Yep.
even going back to some of these, like we say, these old comic book stories, it's like they're not like, holy crap, they're going to change the world and everything, but they were fun stories that, you know, that were part of the characters that we love. They didn't go out of their way to change it to something different. And it's like, there's no need to change it. Like, they're already there. It's just stay with the format. That's what we want to see. That's what we want. You know, it's like, it's not that hard. But
You-
for some reason,
yeah.
they feel like, you know,
Yes.
like, let's just make it different. It's like, okay, sure.
Absolutely. But you know, even the good comic book movies, and some of them I like a lot. Thank you, Larry. Larry gifted 5 memberships.
Oh,
Look,
man. Look at that.
Larry.
Larry.
He's a great guy, Larry. We love
He
you,
is.
brother. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Anyone who's not a member, if you would like to be a member, he said member. He said member. Please avail yourself. I have not learned how to avail myself of it. I've been in other chats and people do it and they say you could just grab it. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, basically, even good ones when they're always kind of a bit flimsy in the story they're quote unquote adapting.
Yeah.
You know, in other words, they're not like, for example, my favorite of probably all of them outside of Christopher Reeve's first Superman film is Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
That's doesn't really adapt that story from the comic that much. You know, Avengers: Age of Ultron. I'm one of the few that actually likes that movie a lot, but it has almost, other than the title, there's very little to do with the story it's adapting. Actually, thankfully, in that case. But if you see what I'm saying, like some of these they carry the titles, like Infinity War. They carry titles from actual comics, and they have very little to do with the comic they're adapting. Which again, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. But I don't know.
It's I definitely think they sped up a lot of years of storytelling in the new Marvel MCU. I don't know, to try to secure a new audience or maybe, I don't know, to break a people. They should have done the movies in a way where people would want to go and buy the comic books as well.
Yes.
You know, as far as like a compliment, but it doesn't seem like they did that. And I want to say hi, Wicked Virtues in the chat saying hi,
Hey.
Jay.
Hey.
And my man Wiley Dave is in the chat. I love that dude. Wiley Dave sent me one of the greatest gifts I think I've ever received ever. He sent me the every single card collection from the original Star Wars movies.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, when I opened that thing up, I almost like shed tears because I remember as a kid like trying to collect those. You know, you had to buy the packs, and it's like maybe you'll get like some of the rare ones, maybe not, but it's like he's like, I got a gift for you, man, and he sent that to you. I was like, oh my goodness, dude! Like I don't even know how to thank you. Like that's
a lot of cards, dude.
Yes, and it just like I brought them over to my brother's house, and I'm like, dude, you remember these? And we just talked for hours about how,
oh man,
you know, like trying to scrape up money to buy like cards, you know, and it's like hoping you'd get one and hoping that you know, like when you're just trying to collect them as a kid, you just never knew like which ones you'd get in those cards. But yeah, that was one of the greatest gifts ever, and I can never thank him enough for that. I don't know why I was blessed, man. I don't know why he blessed me with that, but I am beyond appreciative for that.
Oh
that gift.
Man, they had so many series too. The original Star Wars. There was like the green series, blue, yellow, red, and
yeah, they're all there.
Oh my God!
Man, I'm gonna have to dig them up now just because.
Show them on the air one day.
Give me a second.
Oh, you got it? Oh, wow, cool. They're fantastic. RRTNZ, thank you for the super chat, my friend. All the way out in New Zealand, down there. Which adaptations do you think are better than the original comics? E.g., Civil War streamlined the story, but kept the essence of Steve and Tony Rift. I'd say that would be one because as Jay and I talked about earlier, he wasn't fond of the Civil War comic, and I didn't like it either. So that would be one I would say. Thank you, R, for that. I appreciate. I hope you're doing well, my friend, and thank you all for being here with us tonight. So many new friends and old friends here. I mean,
all right,
man, what a great group.
Tells you like my backup isn't turned on, but when I first opened it, I was like, because like the Goonies is one of my all-time favorite. I even had the Goonies tattooed on my arm, so it's like I was looking through this and I was like, holy crap! Every card from the Goonies is here.
Oh my!
And I just was like, he has no. I can't express in words like. When I was trying to collect these, I know cards isn't everybody's thing, but I was just like,
I love them.
Yeah. And then like I'm flipping through and it's like, oh my God, I see the Indiana Jones cards, which I was never able to collect. But then like here, so you got the Star Wars, all the blues, you got the yellows, the greens, like they're all here. I just was like, wow. I couldn't even talk when I went through this one right here. So that was a gift from my man Wiley Dave, who's in the chat now, and I am like, I don't know what to say, man. Like this, I go to sleep with this book. It's just so awesome.
That is beautiful.
So I
had all the Empire Strikes Back cards. I had all the Star Wars ones back then, of course. Superman the movie cards, the Raiders. I collected so many of those. The Battlestar Galactica ones, so many series. I loved cards back then. Wacky packages.
I did too. Like I would, you got that hard stick of gum, and that if you still had that piece of gum, it'd still be good today, whatever they made them from.
Still speaking of Tron, I still have back when I was working at that shop in '82 when Tron came out, and I bought the actual boxes that the cards come in the wax packs, that would sit on the shelves. I bought a box. I still have not to this day opened it, so that those pieces of Tron are still in there. Still have that.
Wiley Dave also sent me every Tron card.
Oh my, nice. Yeah. I went back and bought a set later because I didn't want to open that. I still don't want to open that box, and I've never.
That's pretty cool.
I love that movie. Oh man, wow, that is just extraordinary, my friend.
I just was like, I don't know what I did to deserve that, but that
still have wacky packages. Wow, I'm glad, man. You must be old like me, man. If you have wacky packages, no offense, of course. But I'm just saying, because wacky packages they did bring them back, but I mean, all through the '70s, we loved those. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but they were.
I don't know what that is.
They were stickers, but it was by Topps, and they were stickers of store products like Hawaiian Punch or Mr. Clean, whatever it was. They were parodies of that. Like they had a funny, goofy name for it, and we just loved them as kids. It was like Mr. Clean was Mrs. Clean. It would say Mrs. Clean. It would say.
I remember that. I know the Garbage Pail Kids. They were kind of
that was later,
but okay.
Yeah. But wacky packages, we love those. So, wow. Oh my goodness, we're right almost at the same age there. Well, I figured there, man. And hey, Cap, what's up, dude? So yeah, the cards though, that's amazing. That is amazing. Hey, CC, and Kellel, and everybody who's popped in that I haven't said hello to yet, but I'm saying hello to you all in general. Oh, I appreciate you all so much for being here with us tonight. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate our great guest being here. Jay, I tell you what, man, it's just so much fun just talking about this stuff. This is what I live for, just to talk geek.
I love it, man, because like I was saying, I don't have any there's people, that I know that talk comics, but it's just like sometimes it's just we don't really have a topic, and it's just like let's just dive into like these old it's amazing, when I look back as a kid how I collected and how I tried to keep them safe, and traded back and forth and all that stuff. And now that you're old, I'm older, it's like, okay, I have had these in a box for a while. Let's what do you do with them now? And people are like, oh man, send them to this company here, fill out the form, get them graded. I remember sending out that first batch of number, and I'm like scared out of my mind. I'm like, I'm mailing them my number ones. Like,
Oh,
what if
yeah.
I don't get them back? Like, what? Like, is there a way I could, like, how does this work? I'm scared to death. Like, I don't want to lose these.
Good point.
And
It's scary.
no, the company, oh gosh, what's the name of that company? The
CGC?
Yeah, CVC. They are you know, they were class act, you know, and they you know, they're like, we reissue, it's okay. It's okay. And then just recently, have you seen the teaser trailer for Selling Superman? Have you seen that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
What is that?
I'm about to blow your mind. All right. So let me clear my throat. I'm typing this up now. So there was a guy. This is a true story. And I'm going to get the trailer. You don't mind if I play it, right? It's not going to affect your channel whatsoever.
Is it okay to play it on here? Because it
is okay to play it on there. I played it on my channel several times.
Okay.
I would never do anything to harm, especially this.
I appreciate that.
Channels. But if you guys have never seen this is a guy. It's 4 minutes long, and the story is. I'm just gonna play it. Like, you guys are gonna be blown away. And this is something that I was like, man, I wonder if this will happen to me one day. But just watch this. This is gonna be in like a Netflix film.
I was too busy raising my kids to realize what was happening.
Oh, I know about this story.
I would go over and you'd see like 30 boxes covered with a sheet. And I was like, what's that? He's like, it's nothing.
We don't tell anybody about this.
That was it for 40 years.
I had to escape. I remember seeing a therapist and I finally let it out. My husband has comics.
My father got
crazy.
the first solo issue of Superman from 1939. It was locked away for decades. He found out that was the second nicest copy of that book on the planet. That book could easily go for $3 to $4 million.
Wow.
I inherited over 1 million collectibles.
What's that box value then?
80 to 90,000. Just right here. My father had Asperger's, but not knowing it caused a lot of friction. It seems like ultimate fixation and hoarding. He kept collecting and needed more space and more space and more space.
Is that crazy?
No idea how oppressive he can be.
He was constantly neurotic about the security of the collection. We have each of them humidity controlled, climate controlled, multiple layers of security. He would have thought that was cool.
I'm sure his father loved him, but I don't know if Darren truly felt it. Nothing Darren did was ever good enough.
He made life livable, but not worth living. I divorced. I said, I don't want any part of them.
If I wasn't around, there would be a big dumpster outside and she would just own it. Actually, she'd recycle. We have no idea what's in that box.
Oh, wow. I need that.
Okay.
Yeah, I need that.
So, where do we go from here? That's the question, right?
Comics are super valuable,
yeah.
and they're booming. Why? Hollywood.
We're just still seeing the rise of the comics.
Who would pay this much money for such a book? It's fascinating.
No.
I'd sell it. You want to give me $3.5 million for that comic? Bye-bye.
So
there is a little bit of responsibility to make sure some of this stuff is preserved.
Nice.
This stuff survives.
yeah, so we don't have to go the whole thing, but basically his dad was a hoarder and he hoarded comic books, right? And so his kids didn't even know that he had hundreds and thousands of comic books, like from the very beginning. And he discovered them after his dad passed away. And now, like, somebody wants to do a documentary. This was the teaser trailer, and he goes to Comic-Con conventions and he shows off some of these rare comics and things like that. And they still haven't sorted through all the comics that they have. I mean, it is like warehouses full and full and full of these classic comics that me and you are talking about. Well, my man is a fan of my channel.
Oh my!
So he reached out, they reached out, and I'm gonna go meet him. I'm gonna go up there and see that collection in February.
Oh my God, that's fantastic!
And I'm like, can I just come tomorrow? Can I just come tomorrow? So it's just and so he's got this decision to make. Like, this was my dad's. Do I sell it or do I, do I keep it? Do I do this? And then, do I give them away to like super fans that could never afford something like this? And like, I was just like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like I wouldn't know, but it's pretty awesome. Is the trailer viewable on YouTube as well? No, actually the trailer is only on sellingsuperman.com. So you can go to sellingsuperman.com and you could watch the teaser trailer there. So, but it does look like they're going to start selling a couple. And like, because he has a lot of like double triples, like these same old ones, and so he's like, yeah, maybe we'll get rid of some of those, but crazy. And like put it into a scholarship fund and stuff like that. I'm like, those are the kind of stories that I just love that stuff, man. So you know what I mean? It's like, and I'm like, I always ask my dad, I was like, Dad, did Grandpa, like, is there a box somewhere that Grandma didn't get? Because I know there's many of people, I don't know if in this chat, that have like had some of the coolest action figures and comic books, and good old mom thought, well, you've grown up a little bit, so let's put these in the trash. My Star Wars action figures, man, all of them, back one day and from college, and I'm like, I had a box of like old toys. Oh, you didn't want those things. Yeah, we threw those away. I was like,
it's a classic story, unfortunately.
No.
You know what this reminds me of, dude? This is eerie to me because it reminds me of the Edgar Church. This is like a remake of the Edgar Church story, and it's unreal. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but it's in the late 70s. Have you ever heard of Mile High Comics?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, the Mile High Comics collection, there was a gentleman named Edgar Church who lived somewhere up in Colorado, and Mile High was Chuck Brzezinski, that was just starting out. He wasn't really, they didn't really have much of a shop or anything that he was working for, but he was told by someone that came to see him after Edgar Church had passed away. One of his family members said, "Would you like to come? Would you buy some our father's comics?" Because he had, apparently we found a bunch of comics and magazines and stuff he had. So he just, I'll go take a look at it. This was mid 70s or somewhere up in there. Forget the exact year. Well, he goes up there to the house. He find what you're seeing in this video, what they're talking about. It's the same story. He found an action comics #1, Marvel #1. This he found straight, and I'm talking about in perfect condition, stacks of comics, so many that you didn't like 20 U-Hauls to carry them all out. They didn't know what he had. They let the guy go back and forth for weeks at a time. He was finding, he could not believe the golden age and silver age comics. The guy worked for the phone company. He made phone ads for the Yellow Pages, but he went to the newsstand every week and bought through the course of through the 30s, 40s, and 50s. This man, this designer, would always go buy comic books and magazines and stuff and use them. He didn't cut them up or anything. He would use them to, for reference material, and he bought everything. And that's how, if you ever saw later in the ads in comic books, it said Mile High Comics, order these back issues and stuff, whatever. That was the stock. Thousands upon thousands of, and it's just like this story. And they didn't know, the family didn't know what they had either. He ended up having to get a lot of people to pitch in money. He couldn't afford to buy all of it.
What was the most expensive comic you ever had in your store?
Let's see. In mine, I didn't see. I had
Did you ever have one that was just like, wow?
I used to grade collections and help people sell them, so I didn't put a lot of expensive stuff in my store. The one I owned, I mainly handled new stuff at the time, which was a lot of stuff, and I helped people sell their back issues. So I think maybe one of the most expensive one at that point was, I thought, an FF #9 that was in almost near mint condition, but I bought that one for me.
How about now?
I don't have anymore.
You have one that's
I don't have anything anymore. I sold my FF collection back in the 90s. I have one Golden Age comic in my possession that I bought back in terrible condition back in the 80s, early 80s at a con for like $20, and that's just a Green Lantern #20, and it's in terrible shape still, but I kept it just to keep it. And,
why the Green Lantern #20?
It was because the guy was selling it for $20, and it was the only comic he had close to cheap enough back. I mean, it was a Golden Age book. I said, I want an old Golden Age comic. I wanted to have one at that point because at that point I wasn't working at a comic shop. I was doing something else, and I went to this con, and this guy I knew had it. But other than that, I sold all of my stuff, all of my stock, all my inventory in the 90s. In all of my collection, except for some, I kept a few things. My most prized collection was my Fantastic Four collection. I had a #1, a horrible copy of it, but I still had it. I got it so long ago; it was relatively cheap. It would, even in that condition, it would cost quite a bit right now. And I had a big run, a gigantic run of FF, and then had to sell them all back in the mid 90s because of just things going on in life that happened.
Yeah, I hear that.
I don't have really anything of much value right now anymore. Just a bunch of stuff stacked up.
Well,
buying.
It's only as value as what you claim it to be. So
yeah.
I don't know, and I don't care what these Goonies cards would go for, like on eBay, like what Wiley Dave sent me. I love, in my mind, that they're the most valuable thing that I have. So it's just one. I just love that movie Goonies, and I just appreciated it a lot more now than ever. I don't even know if they made a Goonies comic. I never even looked into that.
I think they did it. I think Marvel did a comic adaptation, if I'm not mistaken.
They might have. I might have to look that up.
I'll look it up right. A few years back, I did a whole show with our beloved past Mark C. We did a show about comic book adaptations, and you think I would remember that Goonies Marvel comic adaptation is all you have to. And I think they did one, but Goonies comic, man, that's all you really probably need to do. And I can't. There's a comic.
There's a lot of different things I'm seeing.
Yeah, there's some comics, but I don't remember. I don't know if Marvel adapted it or not. There was there was a souvenir mag. I remember that. So there was a souvenir mag, but I don't think they adapted. That's one movie that back then. By the way, just about every movie got a comic book adaptation.
They did. I know they did the Indiana Jones one. They did. Oh yeah. They did all the Star Wars films. Well, they did the original series and the Transformers. The one that really got me was and I love Transformers. Like that. I loved back when Transformers and G.I. Joe came out as the cartoons. It split the fandom. You either I like Transformers or I like G.I. You could like them both, but you had one that was better, right? And so I fell in the I love G.I. Joe too. Don't get me wrong, but I fell in the if I had to choose, it was look, you can only have one. It was Transformers for me. I loved Optimus Prime. I loved those original characters, and then when Transformers the movie came out, I got the comic book first, and I couldn't believe what I saw in the comic before I was able to see the film. When they killed off all the original ones, I'm sitting here what is this? There's no way that's in the film. And then you go and then in episode 2 in the comic books, that's when I believe it was episode 2. It might have been the first one. It's where Optimus Prime died, and I'm I can't watch this film. I'm not watching this film, man. There's no way. I'm getting upset, I'm why would they do that to Prime? I don't want no Rodimus Prime. I don't want all these people. I want Prime and Megatron and Starscream. I want to see them on the big screen. And it's so then the day came where my mom was I went over to a friend's house and they had it. We were able to go see Transformers the movie, and I was just that was the first time a movie really messed me up emotionally because I'm the first did you ever see that film? The first 10 minutes of the Transformer film, they took out all the original characters of the Autobots, and I'm what are you doing? And then Prime goes, then Megatron dies, then Starscream dies, and I'm like, I hate this film with all my heart. I hate it. And that was I'm assuming that's Hasbro's way. That was their way of like, out with the old, in with the new. Let's sell new toys. Let's sell, let's get new characters in. Let's change it up. And I remember like the outcry was so like we hated it so much, and the outcry was so. I remember reading that the G.I. Joe cartoon film was changed because some of the main characters died in that film. They changed it. And they brought back a lot of the original characters in the cartoon series. Prime came back and all the others because people were just like, well, we're done with Transformers. You took out some of our favorite characters for what? Like Hot Rod and all these other ones. Like they could have had their time if you had built them up, but it was like, no, like we're just gonna kill these people and you're gonna have to like the other ones. So yeah, I'm like, what? No. But yeah, like that was like, because I remember like getting the comic book and it was like, oh dude, I can't wait for this film. Like there's no way that they killed these people. So,
I don't think I did see that movie. I don't think I ever did see it.
Don't ever watch it. Don't ever watch it.
If you're fan, but I know a lot of fans hate it. I think I know one guy that likes it, and he says everyone gets mad at me for liking it, so I don't say it anymore.
I mean, I understand it.
No, it's like, yeah, no, but I understand having your characters destroyed before your eyes. I mean, had it so much. That's like, because all these franchises that have been destroyed slaughtered just over the past decade, for example, I hated that it happened as much as everyone else. But I was almost kind of used to it, at least because I've been, in the comics for so long, just from a standpoint of, it doesn't help or make it any easier, mind you, but just from a standpoint of seeing characters that I love in comics revised and screwed around with and destroyed by people and yet when I got older, younger people who were much younger than me, obviously at the time, didn't have the same reaction to it. An example would be John Byrne's Superman reboot. I hate it.
Ooh.
But because he destroyed he came out to me, he destroyed a character that I loved on the altar of revisionism and and I hate revisionist things like that. Nevertheless, and people in my age group at the time who loved Superman didn't like it, or a lot of them did, not everyone. But then as I got older, and I started 20 years or so later, make friends with people who read those, but they were a bit younger than me and loved it. They're like, I can't understand that you didn't love that. It was the great. I'm like, well, and we have those arguments, but I have to put into perspective. Yeah, but it's something. Sometimes it's your age, in the sense that comics and these things that are formative to us, like our whatever geek stuff, not necessarily comics, but it's one of them. And where depending upon when you started reading it, you're going to have certain feelings about it for the rest of your life. And someone who didn't read it at the same time or looked at it a completely different way because it was newer to them. You were, if you were like 18, but they were 8, and then you meet them later as an adults, of course they have it different. Then I've learned that about it. But it's not like today where the things we've had destroyed were all kind of, maybe it will be in 20 years, but like, for example, the way Star Wars has been destroyed, and Star Trek has been destroyed, and Doctor Who has been destroyed. And so the big three there. I didn't take any of those lying down or easy, but when they started happening, I kind of knew what some of those feelings were like because of comic books.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the thing that I do wish that some of these movie makers or writers or whatever would understand, that for a lot of these characters, you're talking 50 years of history. And 50,
at minimum,
I'm just looking at the Punisher,
Marvel,
like just finding out
60,
that just finding out the Punisher is 50 years old today, or this month or whenever that count, and it's like, there are people that have studied and read and understood these characters long before you decided, well, I'll just use the name and just give me a brief outline and I'll make a movie. It means something to people. It's the reason why we spend money on this stuff. It's the reason why we buy this stuff graded. It's the reason why someone can send me a bunch of old cards and me and my family can have conversations about it and what it meant to us and how we could relive old stories. It means something. It means a lot to us and our memories, and and yeah, people could laugh at that and people could say, well, it's just this, just that. Well, maybe that's what it is to you, but that's not what it is to me.
Yes.
And I loved, more than anything, I loved back in the day when you sat with your friends and you had arguments like, I think the Hulk could beat up the Thing. Oh, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. And it's like, well, and you'd have these debates and arguments, but then when it was all over, it's like, all right, let's go play. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Like, let's just go do our thing. I like this character, you like that character, and it was awesome. It was awesome. And there was Superman's better than Batman, and Batman can beat like all those debates just happen. But when they were all done, you might got to heat it a little bit, but you were still friends.
Yes.
And everything was awesome. But then now today, it's funny to me how these movie makers and stuff, they're like, I don't understand why nobody likes what we're doing. It's because you've taken 50, 60, 70 years worth of history and you just treated it with so much disrespect. And these are characters that we know, we understand, like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I knew it was going to be bad. I have a friend that works at Universal Studios. He works in the movie theater thing. He's always like, come check if you need to see it for your channel, everything. He's a good friend of mine. He gets me into a lot of stuff over there, as people know if they watch my channel. But it was like, I know it was going to be bad. And I wanted to go see it with my brother because me and him both are huge Indiana Jones fans. And we were going to just see it. And it's like, we know the personality of this character. We know how this character thinks. We know what he would do. We know how he would respond. We know how he would act. We know this person because of all the books that we've read, the movies that we've watched, the stories that we've told, the comic books that we've bought. We know this character. Then when you deliver on a screen a character that is null and void of the character that we know, so it's like, this is not the person of Indiana Jones. You can't sit back and go and blame, whatever you want to blame as to why Indiana Jones lost $300 to almost $400 million because nobody wanted to go watch it. You can't blame it on whatever they blamed it on. They blamed it on, they passed the blame on everything else. Oh, it's toxic fandom, or
YouTubers,
it's the lockdown, YouTube. Yeah, they just go on and on. And it's like, no, you can't blame that, because if you took the character that we know and put the character that we know on the screen and you did a story and you have years of content where you could literally grab one of these comic books or a book or whatever it is and make a movie, from this story that are already written, and it would be successful. And they don't seem to understand that. Like I said, Godzilla -1 was $15 million budget.
Yes.
It was Godzilla chasing the people of Japan. That's the Godzilla we know. That's what Godzilla does. Stomping around, like destroying buildings. It's like, it's not that, and people are loving this film. Like, it's getting like extra weeks in the theaters now because people are going to see it. And it's like, you don't have to love it. It's not like, it's not going to win an Oscar. It's not going to do anything, but it was like, this is who we know. Like, this is who we know this character is. And you put it on the big screen and we came and we cheered for it. Like, that's all it is. What they did with Indiana Jones, they made him a drunk, divorced, pathetic, old person that nobody took. Dude, and no one, like, nobody respected. He was broke. He was retired. A girl bossed him around, literally punched him out, knocked him out several times, and he was just a sad, old, whimpering old man that could do nothing. And it was like, you can't tell me that Indiana Jones in his glory years wouldn't be somewhere off, who's like, made hundreds of thousands of dollars by collecting religious relics, selling it to museums.
Yes.
Working for the US government as a spy, like, celebrate, like, all these things that he is. You can't tell me that he's in some broke down apartment as a drunk, broke person that nobody knows and nobody cares about in his glory years. Get the freak out of here with that nonsense. That is not Indiana Jones. Nope. That is not who he would become. That's just not who he is. It's just not who he is as a person. He would find a way to be something else. And they just thought, like, oh, they're going to love it. It's like, no, we're not. And obviously nobody else did because nobody went to see your film. So
These people dragged him down into the sewer with themselves.
It was disgusting, you know, but I will say this. I bring up Indiana Jones for one reason, because when I left that film, I was like, all right, you ready to record a video? Like I told my brothers, like, you want to do this? And like, and he goes, yeah, he goes, it just was awful. I don't even know what to say. And I said, you know what? I don't even want to do a review. It's just like, I don't care. Like, I did there for like the YouTube channel, and everybody knows I was an indie fan. And I'm like, you know what? I didn't even do it. Instead, we went and got something to eat. And on a napkin, I pulled out a pen and I started writing down a comic book series that I would love to see happen. And I called my friend X-Wing, who's a YouTuber named X-Wing. And I said, dude, I just got out of Indiana Jones. And I said, you know, I love pirates. You know, I love pirate adventures. I said, I'm going to do a book. Do you want to do it with me? Because I know he's like, he's into like pirate history as well with me. He said, let's do it. So we put together a story. We've got a trilogy. We've got, you know, the artist. We've got all these things. And after the second Achromatic Chronicles Green later that year, we're going to drop our first pirate adventure comic called The Daughter's Revenge. Mm-hmm. And it's basically Indiana Jones as a pirate hunting religious relics is like kind of like the best way I can explain it, because it's like, you guys destroyed my character, so I'm just going to take it back.
Nice.
And do my own thing with it, you know? And because, you know, comic books, like you said, I don't talk about it too much, but I think I should. Comic books and these collecting cards and stuff like that were just such a huge part of growing up, you know? It was a huge part of friendship. It was a huge part of like so many things. And they just pointed and laughed at it. They have become the bullies that are like, we don't care. Yes. We don't care that you like these comics. We didn't care that you you know, talked for hours with your friends about these stories. We don't care that you collected these things. We'll do whatever we want with them. So it's like, all right, it's fine. Do whatever you want. We're still going to talk about the good stuff, and we're just going to make our own stuff. You know? And so like, that's just what we're going to do. And, you know, and whoever buys it, great. If not, it's something that I am having a blast with it just brings me back to like the old times, like having a blast with your friends, talking about cool stories, talking about like what it was like, just like what I'm doing here now. It's like, and we're just putting a story together and we're just having a blast doing it. And that is, that's what it's all about, you know, like that's what it's all about, at least for me. So
very well said. Absolutely. And I just say that I had the same reaction. I walked out as bummed out and as sad. I mean, I was angry, but I think I was really just sad and defeated when I walked out of that movie. I felt somewhat the Dial of Density.
Oh God. Yeah.
I walked out. Oh, I loved a -1 there. I walked out of that movie just depressed. It was like you watched a dear friend tortured to death for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It was that disgusting. And it's funny that the two different friends of mine summed it up. One in a pithy second, and another one in a much longer but brilliant way. My friend Jay on his J-Man channel, he did this little review of it. He said one thing this is so simple. I teased him about it, but it's so brilliant. He said Indiana Jones didn't even do anything cool. Bob, right there, one sentence. Yeah, pretty much. And it sounds 100%. Simple. But then my good buddy, I don't know if you're familiar with a channel called Retro Blast, my good friend Michael French. He's the most extraordinary Indiana Jones expert and fan that I know. He is truly.
Oh my gosh, I gotta meet this guy.
He is he's got every bit of merchandise, every bit of he's got the uniform.
Can you put the two of us on your show one day?
Oh yeah, he did. And he's been for many, many years. He's been all the original. He started one of the original online groups for the Indiana Jones. He is hardcore. He's also an expert on Star Wars history as well, and Retro Blasting is his channel. He's a good friend of mine. We've been friends for a long time. He did a 4 hour, twice the length of the Dial of Destiny, absolute deconstruction of that piece of garbage. And of course, he did it in chapters, so you can watch it in chapters. I know that's a long watch on his YouTube channel. It took him months and months to do it. It just came out a couple of months back. I sat there, watched the whole 4 hours, mesmerized. The details, the information, the breakdown of the Indiana Jones franchise, everything he does.
DM me this,
dude. Yes, if anyone can get that,
DMs.
Get Michael's video there. I'm telling you, I know it's 4 hours. You can watch it in chapters. I watched the whole
All right.
thing.
Sometimes I put stuff on while I'm, doing things. And
if you love Indiana Jones, if you want to see that series broken down to, because he goes through all of it, not just the movie, but by the time I got done watching it, I'm cheering like, man, you made me feel good about this horrible movie. And he doesn't. He hated it, of course, as we do. He loves this character. He's got the actual replicas of the whips, the hats, all that stuff. He's just an extraordinary collector. Retro Blasting is a wonderful channel. He's a very dear friend of mine. And here's the link is in the chat. Thanks, Mark, for putting the link up there. I will see if I can put it in our private chat so you can get it. There we go. And it's just there's no way to feel good about that horrible movie.
Yes,
but
exactly.
I wish I could force idiots who make our modern movies now to sit down and watch the way this man breaks down this. It's a film lecture, not just about that one movie, that one atrocious movie. Here it is. I'm going to put the link to the video in it's in our regular chat. I'll put it in the private chat as well. If you ever want to, again, it's truly, it's the last word on that movie. I think it's just amazing. So I know I'm hyping it because he's my friend, but not. If they were my worst enemy, I'd be saying how great the thing is. I love that video, and I appreciate him for that. Oh yeah. Andy says, Clobberin times Gary Ambrosia has an enormous collection of Indiana Jones replicas made from the original. Yes, he does. He's got some amazing stuff. Gary's an awesome dude. So, but that movie, horrific. So
I just pulled it up. I'm like seeing it. That's
and he's chaptered them.
Yeah.
And it's just he leaves no stone unturned. And of course, he loves his love for Raiders and Indiana Jones is. He's the one when I met him at Dragon Con, became friends with him and his wife Melinda back in 2011. He's the one that introduced me to all that background information on the Star Wars films about Gary Kurtz and all the and the deep dive he's done on Lucas and Star Wars films and stuff years and years ago. He's a awesome dude and he's got a great channel, especially if you like old toys of the toys and cartoons of the 80s and stuff like that. He does a lot of videos like that. But anyway,
that's awesome, man. I just subbed to his channel.
Oh, well, thank you. Appreciate that. He would be honored. He's a great friend. And I have him on all the time. We've been streaming since I've started, since like 2011 now. He's been on with me on my show all the time, he's a good dude. Great channel. But so is yours. And,
I appreciate it.
Yes, indeed, man. And I tell you what, those cards you were showing earlier, man, makes me want to go back and dig out what few cards I have left. They had a lot of Marvel cards too. Did you ever get any of those?
I did. I did. I tried to get as many, at least back then, cards as I can. The movies were, again, is all 7-Eleven. Like whatever 7-Eleven was selling.
Oh yeah.
So it's just one of those things. But I tried to get as many as I just like collect. The cards were cool because all the friends that I had, even all through high school, the cards were easy. You carry them around in your book bag, and it was like, all right, I got this one. You want this one? All right, it was like wheeling and dealing, man, at the lunch table.
Yeah.
That's just what it was. Like it especially the cards, like the movie cards, like the original Superman and all that, they made a giant picture on the back.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, I need Lex Luthor. Who got that one? Right. All right. Well, I got Lex Luthor, but I don't want this. Like, you got to trade this just to make the picture on the back. So that just was the beauty of the time, It just was the beauty of the time. And it just, I don't know. It's just, it's different today. And but I wouldn't change that. Change that for the world. We just had so much fun. I guess Pokemon cards today is where it's at. I guess today
Yeah, I
and
guess.
Yu-Gi-Oh and things like that. But it was like, yeah. Look, Mark even says we used to trade Star Wars cards at the nerd table every day at lunch. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just like, and
Yes.
when we go into 7-Eleven, it's like, Dad, can I get $1? What do you want? A comic book or a set of cards with bubble gum? So it's like, well, the bubble gum like adds to it. I can get a stick of gum, So it's like that was more valued like at the time to buy it. But yeah, like the wheeling and dealing and all that stuff was just like, it was just part of it. And it was just so much fun. And I just remember how excited you would get when it's like, all right, I know Billy got the Lex Luthor and he really wants this Spider-Man. So I'm going to see if I can get Lex Luthor and a Jimmy Olsen for my Spider-Man because he really wants that. So it's like, how could you get this done? But then he knew, I know Jay really needs that Lex Luthor. So it's like, he's going to want to trade is like, so it just was like, it was just good. It was just good times, man. It was just good times. What else can you say?
D-Bud got his first comic at the 7-Eleven. And so did I. I think we don't have 7-Elevens here anymore. We haven't for decades. But I was just on a trip recently, and that where I went, they had them. And it's weird seeing 7-Elevens because we hadn't had them since I was a kid. But it's cool seeing them. So, and that was when it was riding my bike to the corner 7-Eleven, whatever grass cutting money or whatever the hell I had.
Yeah.
I'd have to budget it, because the cover price of comics when I started buying them was 20 cents. And I wanted my superhero cup with a Slurpee, and I wanted me a Hostess fruit pie, and then the rest comics, just depending on what I could afford. Or sometimes I'd have to cut out some of the food and just get the comics. But yeah, and there was certain issues I had to have, but
yeah, that's how it is, man.
I had to have my FF, my Legion of Superheroes. I had to have Spidey, and and Batman and Superman. I was a heretic because I bought both sides. I guess I was like, bye. Oh yes. Where are you?
The thing is, it's like those journeys back then. It was like, what are you gonna buy? Trading, reading. Making sure I come to that lunch table with full knowledge of the comic book that I read, because if not, they'd call you out, and so you had to like read it several times to make sure it's like, oh, I'm going to get Billy this time. I know he ain't read this one. So, and it was that fun and that love that, that really helped with the first book that I made, the graphic novel that I did. And I'm so glad that so many people really enjoyed Achromatic Chronicles Blue and are looking forward to the second one. I had no idea what would happen. I took 3 years to write this book series, and it's like having a somewhat knowledge of comics and how they go together, and I know it helps. I know it helps because you have like an idea in your mind of like how you want it to look, and you find the right people to put it together. So it's freaking amazing, It's
no,
amazing.
absolutely.
And I get called out, like I would get called out a lot because I never, as much as I loved Marvel and the Punisher, there's always one kid that was a Daredevil fan, and we were all just like, come on, man, he's blind. Come on, man. Like how you gonna
love Daredevil, but
I know he's awesome, but I'm just saying at the time it was like, how you gonna like Daredevil, man? Like he's always getting Daredevil was like such a unique comic because it seemed like on the cover of every Daredevil he's getting beat up. It was just like he just was like getting beat up, but he always found a way to win. And then
yes,
I think the most popular character, like a lot of us, Wolverine was like, I think was, as far as Marvel goes, was like the guy, right? Everybody loved Wolverine, Spider-Man. Those two were like the top, and everybody wanted to be Wolverine, Spider-Man, but I think Wolverine more. And most of us were like, well, we want to like something different, because Wolverine was an easy go-to. Who's the greatest Marvel person? Wolverine. Well, of course he is. He's Wolverine. He can't die. He's got the healing factor. He's freaking can kill anyone. He's awesome. He's got the the bones that can't break. Who doesn't love Wolverine? Like, the guy can do anything. He's agility, everything. He is the perfect killing machine. you know? So it's like, let's find the unique characters that not too many people know of that have such a different story. I think that's why the Punisher was like unique, because he didn't have superpowers. But I mean, even your character Ben Grimm is like a sad story, you know?
He's a
Like,
tragic story. Big time.
it is like, and those are like some heavy stories for young people to be to be reading, you know? Like Ben Grimm dealing with depression, drinking all the time and all that stuff. It's like such a awesome backstory. And that was the beauty for me, at least back then, was like the backstories of these characters. It's like they really took their time to like lay out the groundwork for each one. I mean, like, of course, Spider-Man being, as much as everybody loves Spider-Man, the pain and stuff that he goes through on a daily is just like, you know, that's what just makes him one of the greatest heroes.
Yes.
You know, for all, because like uncle dying, doesn't live with his parents, can't you know, the girlfriend issues and the whole media making him out to be a villain, and so it's just like it's just good storytelling, you know. And yet he finds a way to always do the right thing, and those were the messages for young people that where are they today, you know? You got freaking Superman's son out there who has the same powers as Superman, and they put a mask on him, and he's like, you know, he's holding up climate change signs, and you're like, what is that? You know? And it's like, you know, no politics here or anything like that, but it's just like, this is where we are from, like, the storytelling from where it is. It's like, yes, bad things happen to me. Yes, it was horrible. Yes, I can overcome. And yes, I could constantly do the right thing when I need to, you know, like that is Spider-Man. And those type of values, especially for young people that could be living in a terrible environment or dealing with bullies or dealing with terrible times. It's like, yes, you're going to go through hard times, but always, no matter what, do the right thing at the end. It's like that, you know, that's awesome. You know, like what an awesome message for young people to read. You know, no wonder Spider-Man resonates with so many, and why he's so popular, because he's not a Mary Sue. He's not like, you know, he's not all powerful. He just can't show up, and he's not, you know, basically like the Beyonder who could never die, but he ended up dying at the end. But he's not like, and in each one of these characters that came out of Marvel, sorry, you got me on a rant here, but
that's
like,
okay.
They each have such a story where it's like, we're not perfect. We got problems, but we're trying to do the right thing, you know? And it's like, that's what separates us from evil, from like the people that are trying to destroy, the people that are trying to ruin and hurt others, is that we do have pain. We have made mistakes. We have, you know, trauma, but even through all that, we got to do the right thing. And that's what makes us a hero. You know, that's what makes us a hero. And I love comics for that. And that goes for all of them. That goes for the G.I. Joe comics and the Transformer comics. And like all of them had like that, you know, those little hint of messages in there where it's like, you know, you be the hero or the bad guy, but the bad guy always loses and the hero always overcomes. And
it should be.
It's just awesome, man. You know, and it just kept us in where it's like, how is he going to fix this one? And how is he going to fix that one? And how is he going to do this one? And how is that possible? And how is he going to solve this crime? And how does he overcome this? And it's like every week, you know, every month we're there like, all right, I need episode 3. I need episode 4. I need this one. I need that one. I need this one. And because I just wanted to know. You know, I want to know what happens next. And then all of a sudden they threw a curveball and it's like, oh, this new superhero shows up in here and messed it all up. And it's just, the storytelling was just, it just wasn't lazy. It was like really, at least for me, it was just thought out like you said, I'm going back to some of these old ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, it's like they really literally sat down and said, we have a blueprint from start to finish. And they're gonna go through these things here, and you know, here we are. So anyway, that's why I love comic books.
They have been when they're at their best, they're great teachers because historically speaking, comic books were created to sell or to younger boys, young readers. Superheroes were catered to that demo, not exclusively or 100% or anything like that, but they were. And superheroes, for the longest time, have generally mostly appealed to young boys. And
yeah.
I mean, nowhere near exclusively, of course, but they do teach. There are, there's a lot. I've studied a lot of the history of comics in terms of like the writers and the artists and different things like that, and a lot of them were just doing whatever job they could to feed their family. There's no question about it, but still, they were creative, imaginative, and they come from a time. Comics. Most of the people who created comics in the 40s, 50s, and 60s come from times where they're very literate. They come from backgrounds where they went to schools where they had to learn some of the classic literature and things like that. These were pulp types of stories, of course, but they were heroic. They had a certain type of story. And eventually, after the harder edged, rougher edged beginnings of superhero comics, it became more traditional that they would stand for something. They would be heroic. Yes. They are taking the law into their own hands, so they don't kill. The early days they did. Superman killed, Batman killed them. The very, very early ones they did. But then they formed codes where, because they have superpowers, they need to take more care. They need to, they help, they rescue, they fight, to save people, but they're not judge, jury, and executioner like the Punisher, for example. And they teach. And I remember, when I was a very young, impressionable youth, I grew up in the Deep South. I learned things from comics that I would never listen to when I was hearing it from adults or hearing it in, church or different things like that. But when Superman was doing it, I paid attention. If Batman was doing it, I paid attention. The Fantastic Four or whatever. And I learned a lot of life lessons from reading the things because kids are stimulated that way, but their imaginations are stimulated by these heroes. And the Thing is my favorite character because of the tragedy involved. This is a character whom Ben Grimm was big man on campus. He was a war hero, a test pilot. He was the big, good-looking type who played football, and all the girls liked him. And he, unlike the rest of the Fantastic Four, the cosmic rays transformed him with the outward appearance of a monster, a pile of rocks, with great strength. But usually in fiction like that, when someone is transformed into a monster, they act like a monster. They become evil. Ben, if you read the early issues of the Fantastic Four, was kind of scary and spooky, and he walked that abyss for a while. Like you thought, oh man, he might go off. He's very angry with Reed for what happened and all this other stuff. But he became one of the most respected and beloved heroes of the Marvel universe because Ben didn't fall into the abyss. His upbringing, he was really the first Orthodox Jewish superhero. He had an upbringing that was tough. But much like his creator, Jack Kirby, his upbringing, Jack Kirby put a lot of his own background into the character of Ben Grimm, and he became a hero when he could have easily gone the other way. Which again, other heroes, like your standard supervillain, like if they get superpowers and they just decide. That's why I love superhero stuff. As childish and simplistic as the dynamics are, they're wonderful teachers because person gets superpowers. Person decides one of two things. I'm going to go use it to steal and do whatever I want, and or I'm going to go use it to help people and use these powers. So it's always about the responsible use of power. That's what superheroes are about to me. That's why I don't like them overcomplicated or too realistic, because then you get too much into realistic, and then it becomes all the fun and even the simplicity is sucked out of it, and that just ruins it. So it's a story about someone making the sacrifice. They've got these great powers, like Spider-Man. They'll learn a lesson, and they won't always succeed, but they'll always try to do the right thing. That's why I love superheroes. I love heroic fiction in general, whether it's other types of heroic fiction, Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, whatever. I love those as well. But I love superheroes because there is more of a simplistic, childlike view to it. And that's why when they're deconstructed and made too realistic, there have been some brilliant stories that's been done with, but I think it's gone a little bit too far. in some instances, and I think they're better on a level when, like what we were just talking about. They teach and they do the right thing, and they're always morality stories about the responsible use of power.
Absolutely. Like the formula is not hard, right? For these great stories. I know before the stream started, we were talking about one of my favorites, and it's kind of a one of my favorites is Pirates of Dark Water.
Yes.
And a lot of people they haven't heard about it. They might have saw the cartoon, or they're like, oh, I heard that name, but I'd never really watched the show or anything. Well, Pirates of Dark Water, so I was like a history major in college, and my master's degree was in history, and I love pirate history. I loved it, and I could never get enough. I never really talked about it much until finally, like, my brother was like, "Will you just shut up about pirates already and make a YouTube channel?" So I have a YouTube channel called History of Pirates, where a couple friends of ours, we just have fun over there, like making videos about pirates and stuff.
Get the link in there, if anyone can get that link.
I appreciate it. It's not for it's a history thing.
Yeah,
it's not comics.
Subs in it. Cool.
But I did a video over there about Pirates of the Dark Water, and just reading the comments of people.
Shooter likes it. There you go.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, dude, I love that show. They just never finished it." But Marvel did do a 9 comic book series of Pirates of Dark Water, and the story, Hanna-Barbera never was able to finish the story, which was really sad. And,
thanks, Mark.
But they the story is pretty simple. It was a young man who didn't know his destiny. His dad was the king. But he didn't know his dad was the king until his dad showed up, like, half dead, and like was like, "You got to save this world from the dark water. You got to find the 13 treasures of rule." And his whole destiny changed. And so here you have this young man who's like, "I've got to save the planet." While the bad guys, they wanted the 13 treasures of rule to control the dark water to run the planet. So he puts together a team of misfits, which I love, like just like the Goonies or whatever. And it's like, we're on this quest to find these 13 treasures. And in each place we go that has a treasure, there's a unique challenge that we have to overcome. And while there are people on his team that are like, we just need to rob, steal, and like do the bad thing, he's like, no. If we do the right thing, it'll always work. Like we'll be successful. We do the right thing. You might not like it, but it's the right thing to do. So here's this young prince, and he's like, he's doing the right thing, and he's getting these 13 treasures, and he's constantly on the run from the bad pirates and doing. It was just such a cool story of adventure, and the fact that they took time to write these extensive backstories for each of the side characters as to why they're in this particular place. And each time they did an episode or in a comic book, a little bit of their backstory came connected to the overall story. It was like, it just was awesome. Like, it's just like wonderful storytelling, and I'm so sad that they never finished it. And I was like, who do I have to email over there at Warner Brothers who now owns Hanna-Barbera? Like, you guys are doing nothing with this. It's like, let me just give it to me. I could finish it for you. Trust me. like let me try, please. And so, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like these stories that teach us, do the right thing, like. Because it is the right thing.
What you're talking about there, by the way, is one of the worst things about being a geek is it something that you love gets canceled very, very early on. And I mean, we all have, whether it's TV show and cartoon. I've had many TV shows and cartoons and comics, obviously, canceled way, way, way before their prime. And it's like that's almost a topic of itself, actually. And it sounds like you have one there, and we all just have ones you go, man, why did they only make 7 of that thing, or 12 issues of that, or or 2 issues of this, or 2, why do they stop it? Oh, and man, we all have those. That's brutal when you're a geek, because you just attach yourself to it more, and then you love it, and you think they should go on forever, and you ask people about it, go, really? I've never even heard of that. Oh,
yeah,
God. I have a few that, I have shows and stuff that no one's ever heard of that I love, and I'm like, wow, that's just great.
And that's exactly, you're absolutely right. That's the biggest problem about being a geek. It's because it's like we all find these stories that we love. And some are very popular and some are not. And the ones that aren't popular, sadly, that's the way of the world. Like, if it doesn't make a lot of money, then they're just gonna they're gonna be like, well, that's it, folks. Like, we didn't get to finish it. Just use your imagination, and you're just kind of like,
it's over, man.
Well, okay.
Yeah, Larry, you're right, Probe. It's the one that kills me the most, because only 7 of them. But man, it makes me sad. And and I love cartoons so much that I got to tell you, with all these Marvel movies and superhero movies, if I'd make a deal with Hollywood, and they said, look, you guys can do whatever stupid ass, crappy, woke drivel you do, but if you let me have the animation departments for both DC and Marvel, and let me do full-on animation adaptations, adapting some of my favorite comic stories, then I won't give a crap about your live-action drivel anymore. They won't, because DC, Marvel's terrible about that. Marvel didn't do any good movies, animated movies, but DC actually did do a bunch that are, for a while, now they're garbage, that were adapted some pretty classic stories that were actually really good. And Marvel hasn't really done anything. Actually, although, did you watch the Fantastic Four cartoon of the mid-90s, for an example? That's one example.
Oh, absolutely.
The first season is Pigswill. And so when the second season comes along, Buddy calls me up. I'm at work. I'm working downtown somewhere. It's like mid-90s. He goes, did you watch the new season of FF? Just started. I said, no, I told you I don't watch that crap. It's garbage. Nope, you need to watch this one. I said, shut up, dude. I said, no. It talked me into it. I thought it was screwing with me. And it turned out to be so much. It was adapting Kirby. It looked Kirby-ish. It was adapting classic FF stories. 13 glorious episodes. The one was kind of a Eclipse episode. 12 glorious episodes of pure brilliance that made, and I don't know about you, but there's certain shows that I call attitude adjustment shows that no matter what horrible things going on in my life, or if I'm feeling crappy or down, whatever, I can put that on there and it'll cheer me up. Even, or certainly bring a smile. It's one of those comfort food for the soul type things that only geeks have. Geeks have those. And it was so good, and we'll never get any more of it. And it's like, but that's not a lot of episodes. At least Justice League animated show had 4 seasons. Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, beautiful, only 2 seasons because it got cut short.
Yeah,
that's just a couple of examples. And you're just like, man, why do you guys can't? When it was really good, I bet if I say I liked it, it's going to be dead. It's going to be killed.
I hear you, but no, you're absolutely correct. And it's the cool thing though is even though like some of our shows that we loved got cut, it's like there were so many options, so it wasn't like you can only like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Wolverine. There's nothing else for you to like. I love the fact that back in the 80s and 90s, the comic books and stuff, they took chances. Like they created new characters to see if they stuck, if people enjoyed them. Sure. And if it was like, not people ain't feeling that, then they kind of just put that character back in the folder, and it's like, they got defeated by Reed Richards or whoever, and it's like, okay, well, they didn't necessarily kill them off all the time, but they just kind of put them in a folder, and moved on. But I did like when I used to love when Marvel would come out. I don't know if they did this every year. You might have to help me out with this, but Marvel would come out with a book of like all their dead characters, that die, like the original Captain Marvel, like or Mr. Marvel and all that. Like they'd have them all in a book, and they tell you how what comic book he died.
That's the handbook, official handbook of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, they would do that. Did that come out every year?
Well, they did. No, what they did, there was a dead one for the dead characters.
Yeah,
D for deceased or whatever. But no, originally it was they started at A, and it was regular size comic book format, but it was actually direct sales. But I think they actually maybe, I don't know, they may have done newsstand editions. I can't remember now, but this was somewhere around the late or mid to 80s or somewhere up. And the DC did theirs version of it, Who's Who in the DC universe, and Marvel did the official handbook of the Marvel universe. They did it, did it alphabetically, and they did do one for the dead characters. So that you may have picked up that one.
That's the one that I thought was interesting.
And there were a bunch of them, and they even had like these big books that you could compile them in. They're like these notebooks and stuff, and all kinds that are pretty cool. Most Marvel and DC did those. Yes, so the official handbook. Oh man, those are really cool.
The handbooks were awesome because it also not only they did one for dead characters, but they it helped me out here. Didn't they do like explain like origins and stuff like when they did
yes.
Yeah, so it's like okay,
it's
so
like
you could look at yeah, it was like an encyclopedia. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it would give you a rundown of their first, tell you their first appearance, and tell you
yes.
You have of course an artistic representation of the character and the history and the powers and all that stuff. Yes,
buy those.
You could. They did, and I don't. DC recently they had theirs is History of the Universe, History of DC Who's Who. They did a gigantic, ridiculously expensive like omnibus of theirs. So I don't know if Marvel's done that recently, but I think there might be one. I don't know, but they've stayed in print. Probably you can find them compilations, or you can even find just the regular issues of them out there. In fact, they might be cheaper that way. I don't know. But there are quite a few of them now. Now
let's see.
I don't know if they're updated to their modern drivel or not. I mean, I would only, if I were to get those, I would only want the ones chronicling the the Silver and Bronze Age. Oh, there you go. Let's see. There's they could not be reached. What's up? But I said the original Marvel Handbook run is available as an omnibus.
Oh, nice.
There you go. I love omnibuses. I mean, they're too rich for my blood, but once in a while, when I find an omnibus dirt cheap, like online or something, because omnibuses are like $120 and crazy like that. But
yeah.
Once in a while, you can find one dirt cheap. Even Ollie's used to have sometimes.
The Woke Breaker says I need to get Drunk3P0's book. I appreciate that. We've been dropping the link. I appreciate
it. The link
is
pinned at the top of the chat right there, folks.
It's going to be a 4-part series, and then we're going to drop Daughter's Revenge, a pirate. Basically, Indiana Jones is a pirate searching for religious relics. That's going to be dropping late next year, and we're going to give away like. If you buy that book, we're gonna have like pirate coins, like the money, like replicas and stuff. Like, yeah, we're going all. I'm having so much fun with that. Like, it's just
That's
like
amazing.
I love it. But I remember, I had the GI Joe Order of Battle before, and
Rocky Balboa.
Yes, I was about to say that they had Rocky in that, and then the next episode was like. Correction. Rocky was never a GI Joe.
Nope. Sylvester Stallone got a hold to him.
Did he? So they just.
I don't know. I was making it up because people used to say that's what happened.
I never really got the full story. It's like, did they just have like? Obviously, somebody had to be like, yeah, we got the okay to put it in there, or did they just say we'll just took a chance? So.
I think it just felt they were going to do it and it fell through. And I guess I said, cut it out. Don't put that in. If I remember the story, it's been so long, but I remember what that kerfuffle when it came out. They did have William the Refrigerator Perry, though.
Yes. Yeah.
The fridge for some reason.
But yeah, it's like, it was like number 3. It was like, and then the next one was Rocky Balboa is not a part of G.I. Joe. Never was a part of G.I. Joe. Will never be a part of G.I. Joe.
I know G.I. Joe.
I was like, when you're a kid, and you're like, what the heck happened? Did they kill him? Like, what happened? What did I miss? And then the comic book owner is like, I don't know, kid. Like, I don't know. So it's like, man. Yeah, the Order of Battles were cool because it went through every character, and
yes.
Yeah, it just gave you a little background of each one. So,
and I like a comic shop when they do deal with the other side. So I don't know, kid. They should, should like be able to tell you what's going on and everything. I try to.
The guy that ran our store was like, he just, I don't know I can't remember if he wasn't a terrible person. He just, I think when we hung out a little too long, you know, and we got a little loud. It was like, oh,
Yes.
come on, guys. Like, hey, either buy something or move it along, you know, like, so it's like, oh, we understand. We got it. Like, I mean, now that I'm older, I'm like, I get it. So
Well, that's how I made my friends back then, though. I mean, all my friends were made back then to the comic shop, and I was the youngest for a while when I first started. And, you know, one of the craziest things that happens to you if you were like me, I was in the business for almost all the way throughout the 80s and into the 90s for a while. So various shops, including my own that I owned for a while. So then funny thing starts happening in the early 2000s. I go to a friend's comic shop who used to buy from me. Now he's got the comic shop in town. We're hanging out. Or I'm in there somewhere and I start having a conversation with some dude in this 3-piece suit, business suit, all fancied up, talking about Batman. And he starts telling me the story about how he got into Batman and stuff, and started describing the shop he bought him from and how cool the dude was. It was right before the Tim Burton Batman movie came out. And now he sold me all kind of Batman comics. My dad was there with me, and that's how. And I'm like, holy shit, that was me. And that's happened 4 or 5 times. I mean, and I became friends with some of the ones, and they were all, you know, now they're all grown up. And then I'm meeting them and I made friends with them. But like at the time, they were kids. So they was like, yeah, don't you remember me? I said, well, dude, if you were a kid, maybe not. I mean, you know, but
that's hilarious.
It's happened like several different times, including one guy, you know, was running a comic shop that I walked into, and he asked me my name. And when I told him what it was, he told me the story about how, yeah, you made me come outside and get my mom's permission to buy this Batman comic because you thought I was too young to buy it. It was Batman the Killing Joke. Batman the Killing Joke was not for kids. And in fact, 2 different friends of mine, including our dear departed Mark C. that we loved, who used to do this, who we do the show we dedicate our comic show every Monday night to Mark C. When I met him many years later, he was the same deal. He said, yeah, man, you wouldn't let me buy that Batman the Cult. So you made my mom give him permission. I did. Well, good, because that's what I intended to do.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
But it is weird though. It'll weird you out, man. You're like running these people that will remember you, and you're like, well, and then they'll tell you, well, I was 12 or I was 10.
Yeah.
Oh well, of course, makes you feel good though. You know, it's great.
Yeah.
So hey, Jill.
Man, the last time I went to visit that comic shop, it wasn't there. He had packed it up and moved it. Yeah. It wasn't the biggest place.
A lot of them are going out.
It's there's a comic shop near me, and I only went in it once, and it's more of a like Dungeons and Dragons, or like
I may have visited that one last week.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
I went to a couple shops.
Like that. It's like that's all. That's like it. Mostly that, like they sell that kind of stuff. They do have comics in there, but it isn't like they don't have any long boxes that you can go through to find all that. They don't have any of that stuff. They have some of the new stuff kind of hanging out, and it's just like you know, you talk to them and they're like, nah, man, no one's interested. Like we barely like we get like two of the new ones, and they just sit there forever. You know, and it's like we've got to change it to like a Funko Pop shop, and then we got
Funkos and statues,
like just to stay in business, or like they'll do Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments and stuff like that to kind of generate money. And it's like, man, that's sad to hear. You know, it's like that there's just no interest like what it used to be. So, but I don't think like. With the rise of the independent comics, you know, with the rise of like, you know, what we see online of people making their own comics and selling them, and several people are, you know, very successful at it. It does tell me that it's not like people don't want that stuff. It's just like they don't want what they're doing with it, you know, like they don't like the new stuff. So
yeah.
The fact that, you know, like people can start their own comic business and their own characters, like, you know, I showed the ISOM earlier, like what Eric July's doing, and there's EBS and all them. It's like it can be done, and there's so many others. Like Graham Nolan is like a lot of these people just doing their own thing
Dixon,
now. And
Mike Barron, those guys.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, we don't need them. We live in a day and age now where we can just do it ourselves and get it out there. So good on them, you know, good on them. And to see I don't know if you saw that video going viral online about the comic book shop owner.
I did. Quite a fellow. And Mark Millar, I had him to his credit, supported him, had his back when he was being attacked, and even had him on his podcast. Which Mark Millar is an awesome dude. I mean, it was very good of him to do that. He's a big name.
But then to see like the
attacks were horrible.
The attacks from people that still work at Marvel.
Yeah, Donnie Cates.
Oh, dude, what is wrong with that guy, man?
He
didn't even like. For me,
he's a nut, man. He really.
You don't even have to comment. You could have just, okay,
yeah.
Like, but the fact that he had to go out of his way to shame a man who is selling your product, and just laugh at everyone that is like supporting him. It's just like, I don't get it. I just don't understand. He wasn't attacking you personally.
No.
And
didn't single anyone out.
No. And he was expressing his opinion, which we all have the right to do. Listen, like I know Achromatic Chronicles, like my book, isn't going to be loved by everybody, and it shouldn't be loved by everybody because that's not who we are. It's like some people will love it. Some people will like, that's not for me. Some people will like, it's just, that's the beauty of human nature. It's like you said, like Marvel has such a, and forgive me, I talk more Marvel because that's all I collect.
No, I got
Marvel has such a, the encyclopedia of characters that's the beauty of it. It's like, I like this, and I like this, and I like this, and I like this one, and then we can all come together and say, okay, we all like Wolverine, right? So it's like, so the fact that I could say, I don't like this character, and I don't like this person, I don't like that, and people are like, oh, how could you say that? Well, that's just my opinion because I like this character, this character, this character. And it's like, okay. The fact that this guy came out and was like, look, I've been selling comics for 30 years and it ain't working. Nobody likes self-inserts and stuff like that. And then these comic people are like, I put myself in comics all the time and it sells and I don't care what this guy says. It's like, it's disgusting, it's disgusting. And for me, like if someone criticized my work, and I just came at them and like, well, you're just dumb and you don't appreciate good stuff. Like, that's terrible. It's like that's not what you do. That's not what you do. You take the constructive criticism. Yeah, well, are there going to be trolls every now and then and just be like, oh, it sucks in the hour. It's like, okay, fine. That's what you don't like. No problem. We move on.
Sure.
Then there's others that have constructive criticism, constructive. And it's like, okay. Like, let me hear you out. Let me hear you out. Maybe I can improve it for the next one. And that's just how the world works, but like the disgusting attacks on this poor guy was just like, and then they made fun of the way he looked and his teeth and all that stuff.
Course.
It's like, okay, well now, that's good on you. It's like, if that's all you can say. If you
tolerant people,
by
the way, who are always the ones that don't like you making fun of people, make fun of people worse than anyone. Yeah.
It's just, and it's like, my heart breaks, it breaks. And I appreciate Miller's like reaching out and talking with them and stuff like that. And that's what, if you want to bring fans back, that's a good starting place. Hey man, I'm upset with your product. Okay, let's talk about it. Like what's the issue? I don't like this. I don't like this. Understood. Well, we were just trying something new. We're going this route. It might not be for you. But I appreciate it. It's just that simple. You don't have to belittle people because they don't like your product. You don't have to call them names or laugh at them because maybe they don't have the best teeth. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
This is a person selling your product to people. And it's like, these are the people you should be listening to. They're right there. They see who comes in, they see who buys and all that stuff. And it's like, it was just disgusting.
Absolutely was. And I was so impressed with Millar for doing that. He didn't have to do that. And he came in and had the guys back. And I said, one of the interesting things someone wrote, I asked him, why are you defending this guy? Whatever. Says, because he and people like him have sold my work. You dumb.
Yeah.
I'm filling in the blank. You dumb shits. Of course, because this is, because I like that people were able to read my comics when there was a sanity to the comic book industry, and people would buy comics based upon whether they like them or not. Now, I've not liked everything Mark Millar's ever written. I have some problems. I didn't like Civil War that much. I didn't like any of the Ultimate stuff. I've liked some other things he's done as well. But he could be someone whose work I hate every inch of, and I'd still have respect for the way he handled himself.
Absolutely.
And it's just, I mean, I never knew until just the past couple of months that Mark Millar was a very based and, sensible guy who will talk to anyone.
He actually put out a nice thread like maybe a month ago where he was like, this is what can help, like this might be able to help the comic book industry or something like that. But he got laughed at too from people.
Of course.
They think that they're above. Listen, I was always taught pride comes before the fall, and these people are so. If they can't see how prideful they are, actually, I did a video on the Star Wars High Republic comic book and how this is how out of touch Star Wars is with people. So the High Republic comic book and book series, the numbers don't lie, so you can't go against the numbers no matter how hard you spin it. So the Star Wars Twitter million plus followers, I don't know, the YouTube channel over 3 million followers, subscribers. They have a huge mailing list, probably bigger than anything I'll ever have. They have the website. They have actors at their disposal. They have all these things. When the Star Wars High Republic Phase 3 came out, they pushed a comic book. They pushed, the High Republic comic book. They've always had comic books, and they pushed it on their Twitter accounts for a month. They pushed it on their YouTube channel. They pushed it in their websites. They pushed it. They had actors come in and like hold it up. They did everything they could to sell this number one Star Wars High Republic comic. Well, it came out and it didn't even crack the top 75. Right. This was a number one.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the non-based comic book authors that I tend to read from time to time, who goes over numbers and stuff, who just loves everything. It's just one of those people that are just like, oh yeah, this one, and whatever. So even I know things are bad when even he said, I don't know why Lucasfilm makes comics because nobody buys them. Like when he says that, it's like, and this is the guy that's like, oh yeah, the Son of Superman is going a different way, and maybe it'll attract, the LGBTQ fans. That's fine, whatever you want to write. But like, and it's just when he comes out and says your Star Wars comic book is so bad they don't even crack the top 50 when they get released, when you have millions of subscribers, followers on your social medias from everything, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of them, and you push it for a month and you can't even crack the top 75 on its opening release, you have lost it. Like no one is buying your stuff. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to read it. Nobody wants anything to do with it. How do you have Darth Vader, a Vader series? They said that the only comic that Lucasfilm has done well is the Vader series, and even that doesn't even crack the top 10 when it comes out.
Jesus.
And so, and I'm sitting here like, when do you stop and take a look at yourself and go, maybe we're doing something wrong, or like quit passing the blame that you have lost your audience, and the only person buying it is probably family members because your name is on it. And it's crazy to me that they don't sit back and go, okay, we're doing something wrong here. Like, what do we change? But they're so prideful that they're like, everything is fine. We don't have to change anything. It's a you problem, not our problem. Well, the High Republic series, the very first book that launched, sold 132,000 copies, right? The next book after that dropped 50%. Okay. The next book after that dropped 80%.
Oh my God.
So they're on phase 3 right now. So from phase 1 to phase 3, according to this author, who's not like, he probably does lean a little more on the woke side, I guess, if that's what you want to call it, whatever. Even he said, you have a problem, Lucasfilm. You have a 96% drop from phase 1 to phase 3. He's like, I don't know how do you stay in business and even creating these books anymore. Like, you're literally like flushing money down the toilet. And they posted a picture in this article. They were like, we were at the Dragon Con, and they had all the authors for the High Republic series, and they had the guy was like, I'm sad to report, but not a single person went up to their booth. And I'm like, how do you slap so their last comic book, the number that they have from wherever they get it from, sold 2,100 copies. That was the last thing. And I'm like, how do you have anything with the Star Wars name on it sell 2,000 copies? You're telling me that a person that goes by the YouTube name DRUNK3P0 sold more books than a Star Wars comic? Like, I never in my wildest dreams could I ever have said something like that. And I'm sitting here like, when do you guys go into a board meeting and say, hey, 2,000 comic books sold. You guys are doing great. Like, that's great. It's like, that is not great. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they showed like the report from like the old EU days, like the old Marvel comics, Star Wars comics, stuff like, and they're talking like hundreds of thousands. You know, like some of these books, and it's like you went from hundreds of thousands to 2,000. You know, and it's like, and you're patting yourself on the back, saying, everything's good, everything's fine, like everything, you know, no problem here. It's like eventually if I had that type of marketing for my book, you know, if I had 3 million followers on YouTube and 100, you know, what do they got? Like a few million on Twitter, a few million on Instagram. If I had that to promote my book, you know, I would sell $1 million worth, maybe 2 million, easy.
Yep.
But the fact that they pushed this book so much and they barely broke, they couldn't even break 5,000 sales. Like, when do they get to the point where it's like, this ain't working? Like, we got to change it up. It's crazy to me to see their pride and how they have fallen, and we're all laughing at them. At this point, I look at Star Wars and I laugh at it because it's like,
yep,
you guys can't fall any farther. But they're like, well, guess what? We're making a Rey movie. You better believe we can fall farther.
Yes,
you better believe it. And we're gonna keep. And I'm like, all right, let's keep it going, man. And at this point, I'm just like, the only way they're gonna learn is if they just completely just go for it and whatever they're trying to do, and then sit back and go, man, what the heck happened? Well, no one's buying comic books nowadays. Really? I sold $120,000 worth of product, right? We all see what Eric July's selling. We see what EVS is selling. We see what some of these other people are selling. And it's like, no one's buying them? Give me a freaking break. Like, you guys are delusional and living in some kind of bubble where you think 2,000 copies is like a positive. You know, I don't even know, like what major printer would even take that on. You know,
and those numbers, by the way, are based.
That was a rant, so sorry about that.
No, I loved it. It was absolutely true. You know, those numbers are actually based on comic shop orders. Also, they're not based upon actual.
Oh my goodness!
That's how they hide sales. In other words, they're not tracking who walks up to a rack, picks it up, and walks over to the counter and pays money for it. They're counting Diamond and whoever the other distributor or whoever's distributing this book now, comic book shop orders. Or retailer orders, okay, especially when it comes to comics that go to comic shops.
That's
so
wild.
We don't know who's buying these. I mean, 2,000. There was a time that if you sold under 100,000, I know it's a long time ago now, but if you sold under 100,000 comics, you got canceled.
Exactly.
Your series got canceled. I mean, it was over, and that's. I mean, granted, that's probably back to the, you know, late 80s, mid 80s or something, but still, just to show you what a thriving industry it once was. I used to, a couple years ago, did a series of videos called the Spinner Rack Time Machine, where I would I go back, I pretend like I'm, my Spinner Rack Time Machine would go back 50 years, and I'd look at all the comics coming out that week, and I would pretend like I have a folder list, which comes, and I would just, so each week I would do like 10 of the ones I would pick off the list, and then I would show how many titles were coming out, and this was, of course, at the point like late 1971, for example. Do you know how many titles there were back then? And of course, they were all
probably too many to even read, huh?
Average cover price of about 20 cents, but basically, but not only that, yeah, way too many. But, well, I mean, you could get them all because you could certainly, they would be cheaper, even by money standards, but, even if you adjust for inflation, they're way cheaper because they were newsprint. But there's so many, and to show how thriving the industry really was back then, they had I understand there were no video games. I understand there were a lot of things to take into account that were not there for competition for your entertainment dollar back then. That's for sure, right? But if you just name me a year, pick a random year that goes back at least past the 70s, if you will, and a random month, if you would.
August.
Okay, what year?
79.
Okay, let's go to there you go, 1979. Was that a year you were buying comics? No,
no. I was more late 80s.
Right. Well, let's go to 79 here, August, and I want to show you something. Just an example of, let's see, alphabetical. I don't like that. I've got a publication date. Here we go. This is a wonderful blog. Unfortunately, the comic historian who created it, it's called Mike's Amazing Blog. You might, if you ever want to do any comics research, this is this is what I use all the time. This will show you every single comic that came out that month.
Oh wow! Look at that.
And this is a great blog. I use it all the time. Okay. Let's see how many comics we have here. August 1979. A lot of these I did buy.
Star Wars,
look at the genres you have. That's Star Wars UK Weekly right there.
Yeah.
You had multiple companies. Simon and Schuster. That's a trade paperback, and that's a fossil book there. Charlton. Look, they had war comics, Ghost comics, Western comics. That's again a Marvel UK. More Western comics. You had Peter Pan. That's actually a record. Charlton Comics, Marvel UK, Star Wars. You had horror comics. By the way, they had almost every cartoon. Gold Key and Charlton had
look at that.
On TV. They had comics of everything out there. Howard the Duck #1 Marvel comic mag. I have that. That's about Howard the Duck magazine. So see, look, Richie Rich, Archie, Donald Duck. This you don't see this on any stands right now.
No.
Daredevil. Yeah, there's your Marvel books. There's a Treasury. There's a reprint book. In other words, and I bought so many of these. There's Star Wars Weekly again, and there's Vampirella. Remember her?
Wow.
This and again, let's
see. Jonah Hex.
Love Jonah Hex. For example, that's a digest of Jonah Hex, one of my few digests I don't have. But for example, this issue, Jonah Hex number 30, dated November 1979. It was in stores August 9th, 1979.
Wow.
And that's why I love this site, man. R.I.P. Mike Voiles, by the way, he was great. So look at all these. Look at this thriving comic book industry. How many comic books were out on comic shops did exist. I just didn't have one where I was. But you had, there's Cerebus.
Fun and Games magazine. Holy crap.
I loved Fun and Games, man. I bought it, dude.
That.
Fun and Games was a comic book size mag that had puzzles and crosswords and all that stuff. I love this thing. I bought it.
It's so cool.
You had
that one hit me right in the face. I was like, I know that one. Oh,
yes. Man. Oh, yeah. Fun and Games. Again, but look at all the different types of comics too. You had a lot to choose from. Battle of the Planets, even. Yeah,
I love it.
Yep. So just an example.
Beetle Bailey. Holy crap.
Yep. Richie Rich and House of Mystery, Boris Karloff comics, and Yeah, so I love this site. I always go back to them showing the old Whitman reprints there. They got just everything, and they don't have this many comics out right now.
Oh no.
And they don't sell like right here. Your average cover price of a.
And the artwork here is 100 times some of the crap we're seeing right now. It's awful.
I didn't like the art in Star Wars too much on this comic, but I remember buying this issue, buying it right off the rack, number 29. I didn't like Infantino's art too much, but I remember Vader bought this cyborg dude.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the coolest thing, man. It was a Star Wars comic, yes.
I wonder if I could find someone selling every Star Wars comic in a bulk bin, you know?
You can.
I'm sure they're out there somewhere.
eBay probably has.
Yeah. That would be kind of cool. That was like a mom special who trashed a lot of my Star Wars comics.
Oh, man, mine too.
Yeah.
Mine burned my parents got religion and burned my comics.
Oh,
burned them at the stake. Yeah, I never forget buying this one, Demon in a Bottle, classic Iron Man story. So it's just to show that there was actually a wonderful, flourishing comic book industry.
Oh yeah.
Was everything great? Of course not, but it was just so much better.
That's what I'm saying. You had variety. It's like, well, I like the Hulk. Okay, fine. I like the Star Wars ones. All right, fine, whatever. I'm a Batman person. It's like, okay, cool. Well, what makes yours better than this? Just because, yeah, it's what a time.
It was a great time to buy comics, and then of course during the comic shop, when comic shops got bigger, in 1984, for example. See, I mean, again, and there's some direct sales, and then there's a newsstand, direct sales, newsstand. So, yeah, I love the site. We use it all the time here. It's a great one. But
so let me show you something.
Yes, sir.
Just to prove what I was saying, here is the High Republic series. So the first one was that's soft cover, hardcover, right?
Yes.
Here.
Oh wow. Okay. Yep.
So then we go from 120,000 for the book first one to 60 to 30 to 13, right? The first ever young adult one, 60. 20, right? The middle grade now these are the young. All right, so the young reader book is like these are mostly comics, right?
Yeah.
So 13, 5,000, 3,000 copies sold.
Oh my
right,
goodness.
3,000. These are the reference books. So now we have phase 2, right? Phase 2 came out. Phase 1, the first book in phase 1 did 100,000 sales. This one's at 28, right? 11.
Holy crap.
So now we get to the comic books, 5,000, 2,986. It just gets bad. And then this guy, like, he showed a picture of the Dragon Con where like nobody bought a book or wanted to talk to the the authors. And he's just like, somebody better do something because this is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So
yeah. And Dragon Con's been many times. It's a gigantic con, by the way. There's zillions of
That's what he was saying in the article. He's like, the fact that not one person cared to go to the High Republic, stand.
And that's, there's over, got to be, I don't know, like almost 100,000 people that come.
That's wild, man.
Insane. Yeah, it's just, and like what it said something now because, and meanwhile at the Timothy Zahn table, no shit, Timothy Zahn, So
yeah, he was comparing. He's like Timothy Zahn was there, and he said the line just wrapped around the building. For people.
Yeah, it's just so sad, man.
It is, and the crazy thing is, it didn't have to be like this. Like it didn't have to. Yeah, and I agree with you. Would comics have taken a little bit of a bump, like because of video games and other things like that? Of course, but you still like it. If you didn't take over and just like, I'm just going to do whatever I want type of attitude, and you kind of sat back and you readjusted the fan base and like, and talk to them and just say, all right, how do we like get people back? You had a perfect opportunity to reinvent the comic book with I would almost say phase 1 of Marvel was probably the most popular movie phase. Iron Man to Endgame, right? You had an opportunity to reinvent and show people there was so much they could have done. So much they could have done to get people back into buying comic books and things like that they could have done, but because the people that are doing comic books now just want whatever they're trying to do, like put their own agenda or self-inserts, or like not care about like the lore, not care about the history of these individual characters. It's like they just turn people off, and now it's like, well, I'll just watch the movies instead. And now, we had the Marvels come out, which was the worst movie in the history of, like, the worst of all time. It's like it set a record for, like, nobody cares about Marvel.
Atrocious. And I only had it ranked as like the 7th worst of the MCU. I have all those movies ranked.
What's your number one?
Number one is worst, or number one?
Yeah,
best?
your worst, the worst one.
I got my number. They're 33 total right now, right?
Yeah.
And I ranked them all MCU through MCU. And number 33, I've got Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is, I think, the worst.
Wakanda Forever is your worst? Yeah. I put that up there.
And I got Eternals as the 32, and Captain Marvel at 31, Thor: Love and Blunder at 30, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I hate that one.
Oh, God.
I actually hate the first Black Panther movie. I have that even lower than the Marvels at 27th, because I hate the Black Panther movie, the first one, because I love the character so much. They just short shrifted him big time by making him a bozo and making it all about his stupid sister.
You know what really bothered me was as much as I loved,
great actor, by the way, I love him.
The thing is, the first phase of Marvel, Iron Man to Endgame, I appreciated it because I went in there knowing this is going to be an adaptation to what I know in the comic books. So I was like, I already know. I got to go in there with that mindset. And I appreciate that they had a start and an end, and they had this and that. And I'm like, the MCU characters are going to be different than my comic book characters, Jay. You got to just go in there with that. And, like I said, I enjoyed the Civil War series. They took the entire how many years of that run and they put it in one movie. So I was like, okay. What really shook me out of that first phase more than anything is, now we talked about Thanos before we began. I was like, I kind of enjoyed movie Thanos than comic book Thanos, but that's an argument, that we
I did enjoy him, don't get me wrong.
But totally two different characters, and that's the Thanos in the comic book is a completely different character than Thanos in the movies. Like that's not Thanos in the comic books at all.
Yes.
They might look alike a little bit, but it's completely different characters. The one movie that really people don't understand why I didn't like it was Iron Man 3.
Oh, I hate it.
The
I
villain,
have very low rated. I hate it.
I was like, you don't understand. That guy, the man, like that's like his big nemesis in the comics. And they just totally screwed that character up so bad. The Mandalore.
Oh, the Mandarin was ruined.
The Mandarin, excuse me. Yeah, like he was
also in Shang-Chi. They ruined him in that too, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I didn't even see that film because I already knew it was like. But the Mandarin, he was like one of Iron Man's like.
He was just Dr. Doom, basically.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're bringing him in. Like, how is he gonna fit in this universe? And it's like, I'm watching it, like ready for it, like for him, and it's like, oh. Okay.
Iron Man 3 is.
I was like,
crap.
So they just basically didn't make him at all. They just used the name.
And then they backtracked it a little bit, and they tried to make it sound like, no, there really is one, but that guy was pretending. You'll never see me coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's doing his Nixon for some reason. And it was like, what the hell is wrong with you people? But you know what? Iron Man 2 also screwed over two Iron Man villains. because they took he's incomprehensible, his dumb accent, and they combined Whiplash with the Crimson Dynamo. He had the actual name of the character, the Crimson Dynamo, which would be really cool. The big red armor to fight Iron Man, and they gave him the stupid Whiplash ability instead. I hated that movie.
Yeah,
both of those. I love the first Iron Man movie, but man,
yeah, and that's like, it's funny because like the people that don't know like those characters, you know, like Whiplash and all them, it's like, why don't you like the film, man? The film was good. I was like, okay, if you don't know these characters, you don't understand. So, and I remember trying to explain like Thanos to these people. I was like, you know, it's like, that's not Thanos in the comic book. Just so you guys know, Thanos in the comic book was just the guy in love with the Lady Death.
Yes.
And he's like, he didn't want to balance out the universe or anything like that. He's like, he wasn't that serious, you know? So it's like,
he
just wanted
to kill everything.
Yeah, he just wanted to kill people to like, hey, I killed more people. Will you be my sweeheart? You know, he wasn't that serious like he was in the film.
But it was still entertaining, though. I mean, Brolin's terrific in the part. Yeah, I mean, I loved Infinity War. I mean, I thought it was that's really the last movie that I loved, because Endgame, while it has some wonderful bits, it has some bits that make me just want to take Kevin Feige. And, hi, Kevin. I'm not going to say it. But
well,
man.
The only thing that Endgame, I knew they were going to do time travel just simply because there was no other way they could bring everybody back together for one big fight. So I was like, I think that was like the only cool part, at least for me. It was like, all right, this is the last time we're going to see these characters on the big screen together. Like, it's going to be over. And so when Captain America picks up the hammer and everything like that, it's like for the movie series, it was cool. But yeah, like when you go into the comic book, it's like, yeah, it's not. This is an alternative universe.
Yes,
literally all it is.
Yeah, but there were also some really stupid things. The time travel, I'm like, comics do that, so whatever. I just didn't like some of the elements that there's some really dopey crap they did with obviously the big girl power thing was cringy. And, killing Tony Stark was stupid. Killing what's her name, Black Widow. They didn't really have to do that kind of stuff. I mean, what are you guys, Joss Whedon? All of a sudden, we're having to kill everybody.
Yeah,
he loved after what he did to Serenity. But anyway, I don't know, man. There are a lot of things in it that were really bad decisions. Oh, but Cap doesn't quit. Sorry, Cap quitting was an absolute a travesty, like you say there, Mark. It was not happening, but we know why they were doing it, of course.
Yeah, they were trying to like turn the page for the
Sam Wilson
next group, and then their storytelling got freaking worse
on TV. Yeah, or their TV and their Disney minus. I hated that
Disney minus. I only saw like the first. My Disney Plus, because like with the Verizon, I got like a free year.
Yeah.
And then my Disney Plus ended after Wanda. I think I got 4 episodes into Wanda, and then that was it. So I never saw much of it until someone in our wonderful community, they were like, "Are you gonna review like Kenobi and Ahsoka?" I was like, "No, I don't have Disney Plus." And they're like, after like the whole Gina thing, and they're like, "All right, we'll give you my password because we really would love to like,
oh God, torture you."
Can you do it? I was like, all right. I was like, but it works for me. So they sent me their password.
I got my daughter's password. That's the only why I never would subscribe to it. But you know what? It'd be better off if I didn't, because I watched almost all those stupid Marvel shows and Star Wars shows. And no, man, Obi-Wan was the one I hated the most, but they're all really.
Oh, they all suck. It's like there's no. To me, I look at it. It's sad. Like I went through the phases of phases of grief where it's like I'm angry. Like, how do you do this to our characters? Wow, they're not even going to try to fix it. To all right, I'm sad about it. To now it's just a comedy, and it's just like I'm at that point where it's like I'm making my own thing now, and I'm happy with it, and I know where it's gonna go. And you guys like are just doubling down on stink. So just keep going because it's making me laugh at this point. Like I'm just laughing, and I see like other people going through like the different like the different phases of grief. They're like, "How could you laugh, Jay? It's terrible. Look what they're doing." I was like, "I was with you. I was there like 2 years ago, man. Now I'm like, I'm not gonna let it affect my day. I'm not gonna let it take my joy. I'm not gonna let it, I'm not gonna let it like affect my life. I'm gonna live my life and be happy. And if they think they're on the right side of history and they have, I'm just gonna laugh at it at this point. So
same here.
Yeah, because it's like whatever.
Yeah, I actually disappoint people sometimes when they said when something new will, so like some new snippet of stupid news will come out, because especially like on my old show before I used to YouTube, they used to like to find things to trigger me to yell about.
Oh yeah,
they used to yell. I used to yell a lot. I'm old now, but I don't do as much. But like Jar Jar Abrams, whom I hated. I hate him, and I hate.
He's
just garbage. I've been bitching about him since 2009. That's why I started this show, so I could bitch about his horrible, garbage, fake Star Trek. But anyway, they did used to like be able to come up with things and make me yell that, and I would get no easy, right? But past couple of years, they were okay. We're gonna get him with this. We're gonna tell him some new crap they said about a Fantastic Four movie coming up or whatever, right? And then I hate to disappoint people, but I've been like, so what? I mean, who cares about what they're going to make it horrible anyway? How many times have I told you guys, to use the FF as an example? Yeah. How many times have I told you that if a Fantastic Four movie is made and I'm not in charge of it, it's not a Fantastic Four movie. It doesn't count. So I'm just going to laugh. And they said, well, didn't you think this? Well, I bet you're they say, I bet you're pissed off at this room. I go, no, I think it's funny. I mean, I want it to be as horrible as possible because they're not going to do it right anyway. I mean, if this were 10 years ago, I'd still say, now, FF, no, they just no way. But now, where we are, there's no way they're going to cast it right. They cast Pascal as Reed Richards allegedly. I'm like, I don't care. He's a bozo. I don't like him that much. I guess he's a good enough actor for some things, but he's not good for that casting. But hell, that casting, if you think that's bad, why do you see the other members of the group?
Yeah,
and I hope they're as horrible as I think they're going to be, so I can laugh at them.
Exactly.
They're not going to cast that right. And if because look at the Fantastic Four for a minute. Tell me they didn't even do it in 2015 with Sven Forsnick.
Yeah.
So you think now in 2023 they will actually Disney would actually cast the Fantastic Four to look like, well, you know what they look like, what they're supposed to? I don't think so.
No.
I mean, if we were lucky if Ben Grimm isn't I'm not going to say it. I almost said it this time, like I said it before. No, don't say it. Don't.
I know. And I'm with you on that. It's just kind of like, at this point, just do it.
I'll laugh. I want it to be horrible.
Just do it. Yeah, it's like, just do it because eventually you're going to keep doing it this way. And, you're gonna sit back and go, I wonder why does it like you're doing with the Marvels? It's like why isn't no one watching our movies?
Why aren't you? Because we're all bigots. That's why.
Yeah, it's like, isn't this what you wanted? Like, didn't you want Fantastic Four? It's like that's not Fantastic Four. So whatever you put on the screen, it's we think it's funny.
In name only at this point.
Yeah, it's like Fantastic Four. Like
X-Men won't even be a name only because they're going to call it X people or something.
Yeah, it'll be something like that.
Dude, good. I'll laugh. Look how horrible their shows are. Look how horrible everything they do is. So why get worked up? I mean, look, I hate to disappoint people, but I can't really yell about it. Now, I yelled about Doctor Who, but now I'm even behind because they destroyed. Oh my God, what they did to Doctor Who, what they're doing to it this week of the 60th anniversary. That last part of that 60th anniversary can't be as bad as the first two parts. Don't say that. And yes, I'll sit through the crap, but for old time's sake, boy, that's horrible. I'm glad if
I'm with you. That's atrocious. Why it makes me laugh because I'm like, oh, here we go. I for me, it's like the Indiana Jones was that was my last character. I was like, don't make this film. Don't make this film. Like Indiana Jones 4 was. It wasn't. I thought it was a bad movie, but I thought it was a bad movie.
Though. I mean,
Yeah, I didn't think it was like a character breaking film.
No, it's
I
just
thought
not
it
a
was
good
just
story.
a bad movie. And
Yeah.
I can forgive bad films. Like, hey, we tried
Exactly.
it messed up, but you didn't take away from who Indiana Jones was. So okay, we made a bad film in the series. Okay, yeah. All right. So it's like
Yeah.
that's right. That's all we got. And so I choked it up as that, right? That was a bad film. But the Dial of Destiny was like that was a character breaking all like that was just not Indiana
Yeah.
Jones. Like you destroyed the
Yes.
character with that film.
Yeah.
The Crystal Skull didn't destroy the character. It just was
No, there were at
bad
least some
movie.
scenes where he did act like Indiana Jones, and he
Yeah,
did Indiana
yeah,
Jones things. Like I said,
yeah,
flawed story, has some really ridiculous things in it. But he in the movie, he is being Indiana Jones. He's doing
yep,
things that Indiana Jones does. It's just like if you see us like if they just made a normally not so good Star Wars movie that wasn't trashing everything, you go look because I was 19 years old when Return of the Jedi came out. I walked out hating that movie. It took me like 30 years to come to Jesus with it, where I like it more now because The Empire Strikes Back was my favorite. I waited 3 years to see that. I have a lot of problems with it, but I know a lot of people love it, and now I care. I like it. I mean, I love it now, but it took about 30 years, and it took a lot of bad things to happen to Star Wars to make me realize, well, look, a movie can have flaws
yes,
and still be, at least it doesn't destroy anything. Although I still maintain I didn't like the way Han Solo was written in that movie, but I think it was.
yeah,
But it's not as horrific, for example, as Man of Steel, which I hate because Zack Snyder just trashed Superman so bad in it, and he's not Superman. That's just me. I hate the Zack Snyder stuff. But it's some people don't see it that way, but I see that as almost the Last Jedi for Superman, but not quite as bad, but close. Nevertheless, I can I can live with a bad Superman movie because there have been some. Or a bad Batman movie or a bad
exactly,
Spider-Man movie.
exactly.
If they're not destroying the character, the Dial of Destiny destroys him. And he doesn't, like my dear friend said, one brilliantly takes it to pieces in 4 hours of brilliance, and another one in one sentence. He says, Indiana Jones didn't do anything cool.
Yeah.
He does not do one thing. I thought about that for a minute. I laughed. I go, no, he doesn't do what's true. He doesn't do one cool thing in the whole movie. And I'm not talking about that stupid ass CGI beginning 20 minutes at the opening, which sucked.
Oh, yeah.
He does nothing.
Yeah. No, I agree. It was just, what was that? But yeah, here we are though. But it's like I'm so glad that we have channels like this, like yours, that can we could like go back and like this is what it was all about,
Thanks,
pretty
awesome. Thanks, man. We have fun, man. Look how late I've kept you. I mean,
I know. I'm like it's 1 o'clock in the morning over here,
shit.
so it's
I'm
like
sorry.
I'm gonna go to sleep.
I got you, man. But dude, I cannot tell you how honored I am to have you here, man. It's just amazing, and this is what we do here all the time. We just geek around.
No,
we
we
don't
gotta
do
do
anything
it again.
important. Yeah, we don't do anything important here, folks. If you're new here, appreciate you coming by. We don't. All we do is talk about the geek stuff we love. Okay, sometimes we'll beat up on crap we hate, but still in a geek way, if you know what I mean. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
absolutely,
man, tell us what you got going on and anything. And Mark, pop in when you can, dude, if you're there.
Not too much. Like just Drunk3P0. You can find me at all places: Twitter, YouTube. I definitely would love to come back and talk more if you don't mind having me. This was freaking
fun,
awesome.
Anytime.
And if I ever like do a nice big comic book stream on my channel, you would definitely get to be the first one invited.
Oh my dude,
and
I'd be honored.
Yeah,
I'm not worthy.
Like we'll figure something out, and like dude, I love this stuff. I love this is we're all on the same team here. So that, and I also have another YouTube channel called History of Pirates. If that's more of a history channel, it's just a fun project for us. It's like just to get away from all the stupidness that pop culture is at the moment. How many times can I possibly say like, yeah, it sucks. Like I don't need to even review it. It just sucks. And so we're over there having fun talking like real life pirates and cinematic pirates that we love and stuff like that. So you can check us out over there as well.
Excellent. Absolutely. Let's see. Mark, do you have anything to say before I get
Man,
started?
look at that
Well, yeah.
background, Mark.
Oh,
Holy
dude.
crap. Look at that. You got a museum back there,
Yeah,
man.
you should see all of his rooms he has in his basements and all that crap. The toys. He has a
What the
museum.
heck?
He has a musician. You should see it. He's shown us. He's given us tours. This will take. I mean, this is nothing. That is tip of the iceberg. But you should see what the
Are
guy
you on the
has.
East Coast? I'm coming to visit.
I'm on the East Coast. Yep.
Oh, snap. Holy crap. Look at that.
Sorry,
And
the
that's
camera's
and
going.
that's nothing.
Dude.
Some Micronauts.
Oh my goodness, man. Now, if I came over there, I'd be so tempted to swipe something and put it in my pocket.
Well, my wife would love that if you did. I mean, she could
Oh yeah,
something. Yeah,
the wife. He has to hide stuff from her, man. Mhm.
Yeah, well, here's the Star. Let's say which was it?
Wait. Is that the
It's the-
Star Trek ship on the bottom there? The little cruiser that gets you to the Enterprise? Is that on your bottom left?
Well, yeah, there's a shuttlecraft. Yeah,
The
that's a
shuttlecraft.
CD.
Oh,
Yeah, CD
That's
holder.
a CD holder.
CD
it's a
holder,
CD holder?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I have one of Enterprise D like that.
Dude.
It's so
Oh
crazy.
man,
I
I'm
didn't
in
realize how much
heaven.
stuff I didn't realize how much stuff I had until I started putting it out when I started doing YouTube, and I kept adding stuff. And then I have some shelves here that are loaded with. Well,
There's DS9. There's he was
Oh
more
man, look at that.
more thing toys than I. That's why I hate him so much.
well, this is in my will. You get that, you know.
I get I get
But
all of his
thing
thing
parking
toys in
only.
his will.
Yeah. my it's like what are we gonna do with these someday? Like hopefully my kids will. Kids don't really care about this stuff, so
Yeah, they'll sell it.
someone will get. But I wanted to show you this, Jay, because let me fix the camera here. Get my ugly mug here, but this is from my dad's best friends. So this he got opening night, and he wrote was a promotion
for Raiders of the Lost Ark opening night.
Raiders of the Lost Ark opening night. He lived in Dallas, Texas at the time, and he saw a bunch of my comic book stuff, indie stuff. So he's like, I had 2 of these in the attic. So he's like, I wanted you to have one, Mark. And so
Soundtrack.
he passed away. Unfortunately, my dad too.
Oh,
My dad
my
loved Indiana
goodness.
Jones. So it's got a promotional. I have a video on my channel on it, but there's a promotional copy stamp on the back. I won't open it up now, but it's stamped. It says the property of CBS, not for resale. So I don't know how many theaters gave this away, but he's got a really nice note that he wrote.
Oh,
wrote me on the back.
dude, that is
Yeah. And it was my
that is
dad's. My
amazing.
dad grew up in the 30s as a kid, 30s and 40s. And they said every week, they go to the theater, and Indiana Jones reminded him of all the movie serials. So he loved, Star Wars. I had to beg him to take me to see Star Wars. He's like, that's crap. It's crap. And then he did love Star Wars. But he sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was, had an accent. So, but he loved Indiana Jones. That was always our thing. But I'm glad he wasn't around to see well, not that he's not around, but if he'd seen the last movie, God, he would have been depressed. So I have that, and
dude,
just a couple of quick indie things.
No, show me.
So I've got this. I've got both these figures. Yeah,
nice.
So I've got that figure. I never bought Mutt. I don't know why, but I've got this figure, and upstairs I have the indie with the jacket here. So the 2 different indies.
All right,
these are cool figures.
Okay, I have. All right. I got to show something off.
Okay.
Courtesy of Wiley Dave, my friend.
What you got there? Damn, that shirt, dude, is so cool.
Yeah, I didn't plan on going on camera tonight, but I just had I upgraded myself to captain there. But
yeah, captain. Well,
and I did.
You're captain of engineering, but I'm still the captain here. I might let you be captain for one day. Go ahead. Oh wow, look, of course.
I did just reorganize. I finally.
Look at that, man!
Yep. Badass. Oh shit.
So every spot those are the ones that are missing. I've got to get someday. But yeah, that's what we're talking about. We'd trade these at lunch. I have a ton of duplicates, but certain cards, I guess they were tougher to get. I mean, I don't know if that.
Yeah.
Oh, Andy Masterson said to ask you about your indie figure there.
The one that Andy made for me. Yeah, it's in the other room.
Oh, cool. But
I love it. I love it. But I have these. original
Oh yeah,
indie
yeah.
figure.
Oh, cool.
Michael has a video about those. You should see. He's done a lot about all the Indiana Jones figures. My friend Retro Blasting I was telling you about.
That Marion is really tough to get.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
worth a few. But of course, when you're a collector, you just enjoy having these things. It's not.
Yeah. Oh wait, that wasn't.
It's not
Marion.
like.
Where's
Hey,
Marion?
let me show you what I am used to.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
That's
Marion.
awesome.
Freaking awesome, man.
Did you
Oh,
get
that's
those
bad.
recently? You had those from way back, or?
My friend in the chat, Wiley Dave.
Wiley Dave rocks, man.
That's a good
I'm
friend.
telling you, man. He sent me a box, and I thought I was like, am I in heaven? Like, did I die in a car accident or something? Like, all these things that I wanted to have, and it was just like,
Way to go, Wiley,
you know,
buddy.
they're right
Yeah,
here.
right.
He has no idea,
Oh
man.
man, that's all.
He has no idea.
He's
Yeah,
sort of
these
guy.
things.
Sort
I
of
was
guy.
just like,
mint in the card like that. God.
I
That's
know.
beautiful.
Like, I need to get these. I need to send these in and get them boxed. You know, and
Yeah.
like,
Very nice.
but I just keep touching them, man. It's like they're gonna
Don't
be.
touch
But
them without gloves.
I know,
That was
gosh,
bad.
I know. I mean, look, even like someone, the guy I talked to, he goes, "Well, is the top punched?" I said, "No, it's not." He
Ooh.
goes, "That brings up the value by so much," and I'm just like, "Really?" Just because like the top
Yep.
isn't punched, so I was like,
It was never hung up on the rack. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Nice.
People are like, Jay that has the light on. Yeah. We were doing this, so I was like, and then all of a sudden we started showing off our stuff. I was like, all right, I gotta show you something. Like, I love
Nice.
this. Like, we gotta get to, like, I wish we all
Yeah.
like lived next
Just to
door.
hang
It's
out
like,
and show all these
I'll
things,
show you
yeah.
yours, you show me mine.
Well, one day we'll have to put those
Yeah.
videos back up that we did a few years ago on the Global Geek Gang. Well, Mark showed his basement, his figures down there, all of it. I mean, the tour of this whole. This is nothing what he's got behind there. It's just
But
crazy,
Jay,
man.
do you have Gina T, Mandalorian T though? You ever seen this?
No. We actually, people bring those to the con to have her sign.
really
Yeah.
I've got just about.
cool.
So, you know, somebody offered me, so I don't know if you know the story. When I first met her, she autographed, I gave her a figure to autograph,
Right.
and she accidentally signed it Joey instead of Jay.
Oh yeah, I
So,
remember hearing about that.
Yeah, so it was like
We talked about that.
a big joke. Like, everyone was calling me Joey because like she was like, she signed it. She goes, "Oh my God, I don't know why I wrote Joey." And I was like, no, leave it. It's hilarious, right? Like,
Yeah.
so then like she sent me a ton of like figures that she signed and
Oh,
like
cool.
you
Nice.
know, all this stuff. And so yeah, oh well,
Very
you know, I
cool.
see her all the time now because we do the cons together.
Cool.
But somebody, like, I got an email. A guy was like, "Hey, my name is Joey, and if you really sign that Joe, I'll give you $5,000 for that figure."
Oh,
I was like, no, I can't sell it, man. It's like it's like that has
Yeah.
it has no price tag on it. It's just one of
Man.
those things that let's see.
That is.
Well, is this Clobberin has his acceptable Funko Pop, or is that not?
Yeah,
man,
that's it.
he knows I hate Funkos. That's why he's doing that.
Yeah, so there's the
Oh, there
famous
it is. Yes.
Joey
Awesome.
figure. So yeah.
Yes. I remember you talking
She
about that.
tried to, like, she went back to try to change it and like make the big Y so it says J.
Oh shit.
So, you know, but like,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
I was
awesome.
like, no, it's just Joey, Joey.
That was sweet of her. That was
Yeah.
nice. Oh man, yeah. You know what the rule about Funko Pops here, Mark? Jesus Christ, dude.
Oh, this is acceptable. Look, come on.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
All right.
The only
right?
Funko I
I'm a-
have is I have the Goonies and the Voltron, the old classic Voltron one, because I have the classic Voltron toy.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
from the
Oh,
80s. And I don't
that
know
was
what,
an
you know what?
amazing toy.
I don't know what to do with it because it's like stuck together. You know, it's the Lion Force, and it's like I gotta find
Can't get it
some.
apart.
I probably could pull it. I'm afraid it will break. Like
Yeah.
I might be able to help you
the
with that.
metal.
I can talk to Michael. He's an expert on Voltron as well, and they've done a lot of videos about Voltron.
if
toys
they
and
can,
stuff.
like, I gotta send it somewhere where they can, you know, just like repair it a little bit, I guess, and like fix it up and see if they could take it apart and because like I tried to, like, there was, when I was moving, I was trying to like take it apart and put it in a box, and it was like it was just stuck in there. It's been in that position for such a long time, so I just
Just need
you
some
know.
oil like the Tin Man.
Andy Masterson
Yeah.
sent that. That's your
that's what I have. I have that
Awesome.
in my
That's badass.
office room. Oh, it's freaking sick, dude.
Thanks, Andy. That's beautiful, man. Andy's a good friend of the show too.
Not only
The
not
last
only
of
did he
the
make
candy
that
corn.
one, my favorite one that he made of me was like me sleeping on the couch. So I don't know if you heard this story. We were all in Vegas at the Vegas meetup, and they did Friday Night Tights at a place in Vegas, right? And I thought Gary was joking. Gary sent me a message. He goes, "Hey man, when we do F&T, man, make sure you stop by the studio." And I was like, sure." Right. And then all of a sudden F&T starts and Gary's like, "Where's Jay? I wanted him to be on the show." And I'm like, I'm at some pool, right? Like in Vegas. Like I'm in some like other hotel. And all of a sudden Jeremy from Geeks and Gary was like, "Hey, dude, Gary's looking for you. Where are you?" I was like, "What the freak? He doesn't want me on F&T, does he?" He goes, "Yeah, he's waiting for you to get here." I'm like, I'm at a pool. Like, he goes, "Just get over here as soon as possible." So I freaking like dry myself off. Like I run and I call an Uber. It takes me like 35, 40 minutes to get there. I get there, F&T starting a little late, whatever. And so we go and Gary's like, "I'll get you on, Jay. I'll get you on in a minute," right? So I'm exhausted because I've been out in the sun. It's like 100 million degrees out there and all this stuff. So I lay down on a couch that's in the room and I fall asleep. And they took my picture and they posted it. They're like, "Yeah, Jay's supposed to be on F&T, but he's asleep over here on the couch, like right next to Gary." I fell asleep. So they memed me to death of me like asleep on this couch. Yeah,
I remember that too. Yeah.
And finally when they got me up, I was like, all they did was they got me up and I was like, they just showed all the memes that were made of me sleeping on the couch, and then they're like, "All right, Jay, thanks for being on." I was like, "That's it? You just came here to like laugh at me?" And that was the end of it. Oh man.
Mean guys.
Oh yeah, no, I love those. I love all those guys.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Very
but
cool.
yeah, it was like. So then Andy took and made me sleep on the couch. It was so great. I loved it.
Andy rules, man. He's done figures of just about everybody.
Is that the fertility?
Yeah. I stole that from the temple. It's actually 3D printed with this gold color filament, but yeah, came out pretty good.
I love it.
Yeah, it's not as 3D printed. You can do a lot of cool props and things too. But yeah, that was fun to make.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying there was a guy and I found he has an Etsy account and he remade the entire Grail diary.
Oh
wow! Like he got
Holy
all
crap.
he went and got all the information from the Hollywood and like the writer,
everything,
dude. And he rebuilt it and he sells it online for like $200. It's so I got it from my brother for Christmas and it's just like, it is. Not this year, but like a few years ago, and it was just like I didn't even want to give it to him. Like I was like, "This is the coolest thing."
Should have bought two. Yeah.
Oh man, it's so good. Yeah, it was cool. Like we just spent time going through it. So
wow,
it was cool.
That's badass, stuff, man. Yeah. Man, I've kept you up so late. I'd feel guilty, but I've had too much fun hanging out with you. So I don't have to not feel guilty about it.
Yeah, don't feel guilty. We'll do it again.
I appreciate it.
Hey, listen, most of the time I'm on somebody else's live stream, like 45 minutes hits. I'm in the private chat going, "All right, guys, I got to go soon." But no, man, 3 hours. I can't believe how fast it went.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. And same here, man. That's what we do I
love it.
Just about at least once or twice a week, when I do Monday or Wednesday. So it's just all pretty free game stuff. So
yeah, you make fun of the new comics I buy.
Oh yeah, sometimes on a Monday night, every other Monday night, we make fun of his dumb new comics that he buys.
Sounds good.
So I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. We're gonna scoot out quick, but we'll see. Just a quick show note. Go to Mark's channel, by the way. He's 3D printing something right now.
Oh yeah,
just go click on there and leave it on. Put the link in there. Go, just leave him so he can watch it for 12 hours. It was
put you to sleep.
Clubhouse tomorrow night with Raquel and Mark. We Blake 7 episode and Star Trek Lonely Voyage. comic book review, and then I'll be on with the great J-Man and Sean. We're reviewing Jack Kirby's Fourth World Classic. Having so much fun doing that. Sad that it's almost over. Friday night, everybody, Nick's channel, the Comic Shop Talking, the great 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser, and of course, Saturday Night Star Trek, starting season 4 of Star Trek Voyager. I know you're all thrilled to get out of the non-7 of 9 episodes you're buying, damn playlights. And then Mark's show, Mark's Geek Sunday Night Geekery, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on, oddly enough, Sunday night. So thank you all so much for being here with us tonight. I want to, of course, thank my great chief engineer, Mark D. with the Chief C, for hanging out with us. And, of course, Jay, can't wait.
Man.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
I'm honored. And just, sir, anytime, man. Thank you. A big thank you to all of you out there who were in the chat and all who lurked. I cannot thank you enough. Please have a wonderful, have a wonderful weekend. We're almost to the weekend, so have a wonderful everything. Love you all. Take care. And good night. Well, I'm not going to have any credits. We're just going to roll this and then head out because I want to tell Jay something. So good night, everybody.
Yep.
I just love clobbering time.